Well, a very good afternoon to you, and you are welcome for this live broadcast of the National Assembly proceedings on the 17th day of October, the year 2024. This is a broadcast that is brought to you, or rather streaming live from the Parliament buildings and brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in partnership with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. Now pass on to the House Standing provisions of the House Standing Order 44-2C. A number of members of the National Assembly will this afternoon request statements from relevant committees. These statements are on matters of either county, inter-county, national, inter-regional, and even international concern. So the Honorable Member for Isiolo County, Muminabo Naya, this afternoon will be seeking a statement, or rather requesting for a statement from the Administration and Internal Security Committee with regards to the accidents that are caused by a government vehicle, or rather an accident caused by a government vehicle in Isiolo County. The Honorable Member for Soy, Honorable David Kiplagat, will be requesting for a statement with regards to strategic food reserves in the country. This is a request that will be, or other statement that will be requested from the Agriculture and Livestock Committee. The Honorable Member for Kilifi South, Honorable Ken Chonga, also has a question, or rather will be requesting for a statement from the Administration and Internal Security Committee. This is with regards to evictions from a piece of land that is being contested, that is in Kilifi County. Also pass on to the provisions of that particular Standing Order 44, paragraph 2C. The Honorable Member for Kathiani, Honorable Robert Mbui, will be requesting for a statement from the Environment and Forestry and Mining Committee with regards to removal of asbestos roofing from all buildings in the country. Also, the Honorable Member for Matuga, Honorable Kasim Tandaza, will also be requesting for a statement this statement will be sought from the Committee on Transport. That is the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Dr. Moses Wetangula. He will be presiding over this afternoon sitting. Allow me to hand you over to this live broadcast that is brought to you by PBU in partnership with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. Good afternoon.
Waheshimiwa, tuombe. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu, ambaye kwa hekima na wema wako umetia nyadhifa za viongozi na mabunge kwa ustawi wa jamii na utawala wa haki wa wanadamu, tukusihi utazame kwa neema nyingi sisi watumishi wako ambao wameridhika kutuita tutekeleze shughuli muhimu za jamhuri yetu. Tukuomba uteremshie baraka zako sisi tuliokutanika hapa, au tujalie tuyatende na tukufikiria mambo yote atakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili utukufu na sifa zako siendelezwe, na ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Sergeant, ring the division bell. Members, we now have quorum. Clerk.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Chairperson, Public Investments Committee on Social Services, Administration and Agriculture.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Thursday, 17th October 2024, the fourth report of the Public Investments Committee on Social Services, Administration and Agriculture on its consideration of the reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the following state corporations. 1, National Social Security Fund, financial year 2019-2020. 2, Communication Authority, financial year 2017-2018 and 2018-2019. 3, Child Welfare Society of Kenya, financial year 2014-2015. 4, Sacco Society Graduate Authority, financial year 2017-2018, 2018-2019, and 2019-2020. And 5, Kenya Institute for Public Policy Research and Analysis, financial year 2014-15, 2015-16, 2016-17, and 2017-2018. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Environment, Forestry and Mining. Majority Leader, who is the chairperson for Environment? Who is the chairperson? Gikaria, is he in the house? No. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Wangwe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that this House adopts the fourth report of the Public Investments Committee on Social Services, Administration and Agriculture on its consideration of the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the following state corporations laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 17th October 2024. 1, National Social Security Fund, financial year 2019-2020. 2. Communication Authority, financial year 2017-2018 and 2018-2019. 3. Child Welfare Society of Kenya, financial year 2014-2015. 4. Sacco Society Regulatory Authority, financial year 2017-18, 2018-19, and 2019-20. And 5. Kenya Institute for Public Policy Research and Analysis, financial years 2014-15, 2015-16, 2016-17, and 2017-18. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Chairperson, Public Investments Committee on Governance and Education. Member for Bumula.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44-2D, I rise to issue a statement on the mandate of the Public Investment Committee, Education and Governance regarding the current state of affairs at the Moi University. Honorable Speaker, Moi University was closed indefinitely on October 3rd, 2024, due to a prolonged strike by lecturers and staff over unpaid salaries and fulfilled promises from a 2017 to 2022 collective bargaining agreement. The protests, which had lasted several weeks, included demands for delayed payments and remittances, such as pension contributions and loan deductions. The disruption led to students' protest, prompting the University Senate to suspend academic activities. Students were ordered to vacate the campuses immediately, with international students advised to consult the Dean of Students. Since then, no reopening date has been announced, raising grave concerns over the likelihood of prolonged closure. Honorable Speaker, on Wednesday, 9th October 2024, the Public Investments Committee on Governance and Education, which I chair, held a meeting with the Cabinet Secretary for Education, the Principal Secretary for Higher Education, representatives from the Office of the Auditor General, and Moi University management to discuss the matter. Consequently, the committee noted that the university had written to the National Treasury and the Ministry of Education seeking financial assistance to pay the pending bills. In addition, we noted that the issue of pending bills was as a result of the late remittance of funds by the government. Honorable Speaker, the deteriorating state of affairs at the university calls for urgent intervention in order to forestall further disruption of academic programs and to restore confidence in the university. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that the committee calls on the National Treasury to immediately release funds and pending statutory remittances to settle salary arrears owed to the staff of Moi University. This will ensure that normal learning activities resume at the university. Honorable Speaker, this university needs the support of this House, and I thank you so much.
Thank you, Chairman. That is a matter of grave national concern. And if we have international students, then it goes beyond borders. I'll direct that the Chairman of Education tomorrow morning brings a statement from the ministry on the status of Moi University in reflection to what the chair of the committee has said and any other relevant material that can help accelerate the resolution of the problems of the university and the reopening of the university. Osoro, you tell Meli that tomorrow at 9:30, he has to give us a statement on this issue. Short of that, on resumption, the minister will also be ordered to appear before the House on the issue. Next, response by the chairperson, Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure, to the statement by Monica Marubu. Is GK here? Osoro, where is your chairman for transport and infrastructure?
I've been able to call the education one. I hope the chairman for transport will be back in a short while, Honorable Speaker. But if he's not, I commit that I'll whip him to respond adequately.
He has to be here to respond to Monica Marubu. Is she in the House? Yes, honorable member, and Godfrey Ruku. Let's go back to order number 5. I see Honorable Gikaria is in the House so that he can be able to lay the papers.
My apologies, Honorable Speaker, and thanks for giving me a second chance. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Thursday, 17th October 2024. Report of the Departmental Committee on Environment, Forestry and Mining on its consideration of the Gold Processing Bill, National Assembly Bill number 46 of 2023. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Gikaria. We go back to order number 7. The request for statements as appear on the order paper. A member for Isiolo County, Honorable Mumina Bonaya.
Thank you, Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44.2c, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security regarding an accident caused by a government vehicle in Isiolo County. Honorable Speaker, on 28 February 2024, Mrs. Pauline Lomoir Lochiman of ID 30495689 was tragically knocked down by a speeding vehicle with registration number KCY 265Y along the Isiolo-Marsabit Highway. Unfortunately, the victim succumbed to injuries sustained in the accident. The family of the deceased has suffered a great loss and has been tirelessly seeking justice. However, their efforts to obtain clarity on the incident, including authenticating the ownership of the vehicle, believed to be registered to one of the government security agencies, have been unsuccessful. This has left the family in a state of distress and uncertainty on how to obtain closure on the matter, despite reporting the accident at the Isiolo police station under OB number OB54/28/2/2/24. Honorable Speaker, it is against this backdrop that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security on the following. 1, confirmation of ownership of the vehicle in question and clarification on whether it is indeed registered to any of the government security agencies. Second, steps that have been taken by the relevant authorities to investigate the circumstance of the accident and ensure that justice is served for the deceased and her family. Third, any form of compensation by the government or support to the family of Mrs. Paulina Lomoir Lochiman in light of the tragic event. And finally, reasons as to why the family efforts to retrieve accurate information from the National Transport and Safety Authority portal have been met with difficulty, and the corrective actions being taken to ensure transparency in the future. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chairman, Committee on Administration and Internal Security. Naomi Wako, where's your chairman? Oh, Russell is here, Vice Chair. Can you bring the response to that in 2 weeks?
In 2 weeks after recess, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, meaning on the first day after the short recess. Member for Kilifi Kusini, Mheshimiwa Ken Chonga.
Asante mstahiki Spika kwa hii nafasi ulionipa. Nasimama kuwasilisha ombi la kuhusu kufurushwa kutoka kwa ardhi yenye mgogoro ndani ya Kilifi South. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa mujibu wa kanuni za kudumu Standing Orders number 44 subsection 2C, nasimama kuomba kauli kutoka kwa mwenyekiti wa kamati ya kiidara ya utawala na usalama wa taifa kuhusiana na mgogoro wa umiliki wa ardhi kati ya familia ya marehemu Bwana Kea Rimba Gona na Bwana Mohamed Abdalla Mohamed kuhusiana na kipande cha ardhi LR number Mainland North /3/783 iliyoko ndani ya Kilifi South. Mheshimiwa Spika, marehemu Bwana Kea Rimba Gona na jamaa zake wameishi kwenye kipande hicho cha ardhi kwa zaidi ya miaka 60 sasa. Hata hivyo, bila mamlaka yoyote walifurushwa kutoka kwenye ardhi hiyo bila ya amri ya mamlaka inayohusu kitendo hicho na kinyume na makubaliano kadhaa kati ya pande hizo mbili yaliyosainiwa mwaka wa 2001 na 2004 ambayo yalitenga ardhi ekari 3 za ardhi hiyo kwa Bwana Gona. Ugawaji huo ulifanyika kufuatia makubaliano yaliyoidhinishwa na afisa ya wilaya kutoka eneo la Kikambala mwaka wa 2000. Hata hivyo, Bwana Spika, licha ya makubaliano hayo, Bwana Mohamed alimfurusha Bwana Gona kutoka kwenye ardhi hiyo. Kesi ya mahakama ilifunguliwa baadaye mwaka 2019 chini ya kesi ya ELC number 99 ya mwaka 2019 ili kuamua umiliki halali wa ardhi hiyo. Mheshimiwa Spika, baada ya kifo cha kusikitisha cha Bwana Kea Rimba Gona tarehe 19 Julai mwaka 2024, mpwa wake Lucky Kalama Rimba aliwasilisha ombi la kumzika baba yake kwenye ardhi hiyo yenye mgogoro. Hata hivyo, Bwana Mahamud alizuia mazishi hayo na akazuia familia kutekeleza taratibu za mwisho za kumzika marehemu wao. Kwa bahati mbaya, mwili wa marehemu bado uko katika chumba cha kuhifadhi maiti cha hospitali ya rufaa na mafunzo ya Pwani hadi leo. Aidha, siku ya Ijumaa tarehe 11 Oktoba mwaka huu, Bwana Mohamed na mawakala wake, baadhi yao wakidaiwa kuwa maafisa wa polisi, bila sababu yoyote au kibali cha mahakama, walifurusha familia hiyo kutoka kwenye ardhi yao. Kufurushwa huko kumewaacha familia hiyo ikibaki bila makazi na hata kutatiza pakubwa uendeshaji wa shughuli zao na za kawaida na za kimaisha, iwe hata kikazi au kielimu. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kutokana na hali hii ndipo ninaomba kauli kutoka kwa mwenyekiti wa kamati ya kiidara ya utawala na usalama wa kitaifa kuhusu masuala yafuatayo. Kwanza, sababu ya Bwana Mohamed kufukuzwa familia hiyo kutoka kwenye makazi waliokaa kwa muda wa zaidi ya miaka 20. Pili, ni lini familia hii itaruhusiwa kufika kwa makazi yao hadi umiliki wa ardhi hiyo umalizwe na mahakama? Tatu, mbona maafisa wa polisi wanadaiwa kutoka kituo cha polisi cha Ndonya na Mtwapa wamekuwa wakimsaidia Bwana Mohamed kuinyanyasa familia kwa kuwanyima fursa kufikia ardhi yao na nyumba zao, hivyo kuingilia makatao na haki ya uendeleano mahakamani? Nne, hatua zinazowekwa ili kuhakikisha kwamba Bwana Mohamed hachukui umiliki wa ardhi ambayo kwamba bado iko na mgogoro na iko kotini. Tano, ikiwa ipo mipango yoyote kutoka kwa Wizara ya Utawala na Usalama wa Kitaifa itakayosaidia kufidia familia hiyo kutokana na unyanyasi hisia na kifedha waliopitia tangu walipofukuzwa kwa shamba hilo. Asante mstahiki Spika.
Mheshimiwa Chonga, yes, Bowen, on this issue?
Yes. Mr. Speaker, I know before you direct to, or to pronounce yourself on that issue, from how I've heard the Honorable Chonga, Mr. Speaker, is to do with land issue and land ownership. And I think that question from what is directing it to the Ministry of Internal Security, or the Chair, Internal Security. Will I be not, Honorable Speaker, that question should be best handled by the committee or the Chair of Lands?
Bwana Chonga, shida yako ni ukosefu wa usalama au umilikaji wa shamba?
Asante mstahiki Spika. Tatizo la kwanza katika hili swali ambalo nimeuliza, familia ilifukuzwa kuanzia siku ya tarehe 11 Ijumaa mpaka leo wako nje, wananyeshewa na hawajapata usaidizi. Pili, hili swala liko kotini. Inaweza kuwaje kwamba swala ambalo liko kotini, Mheshimiwa Spika, watu wanaweza kuja kufurushwa kwenye nyumba zao na wafungiwe nje? Tatu, usalama umeingia kwa sababu yule ambaye kwamba amechukua hili shamba ameweka wakora, wako na mishale, wako na rungu, wako na mapanga kuzuia hii familia isiingie pale. Kwa hivyo mimi katika zile idara ambazo zinahusika, nafikiria swali langu limeenda mahali ambapo linastahili.
Sawa. Raso, utawakilisha jibu baada ya wiki mbili.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
But if indeed, Honorable Raso, take your seat. If what he's saying is true, that there is a dead body lying in a morgue, and the person preventing the disposal of the remains of their loved one has got no legitimate claim or ownership of the land, then the matter becomes even more urgent. I direct that you check with your ministry that you oversight this afternoon and bring a preliminary response tomorrow morning on the status. Even if they are quarreling over ownership, they should not harm the interests of the family over a dead relative, if that is the place to be buried. So get in touch with the ministry. And I think, is Nyamoke in the house? Issue of ownership is also at play. I think liars, together with the honorable questioner, give to Nyamoko LR number of the land. He'll check with lands as to who owns it and combine that for Russell to give us a preliminary response tomorrow morning.
And the children from that homestead are no longer going to school, and the family is stationed outside their houses.
One at a time. Let's deal with the issues I've directed. Once the two are resolved, then everything else will be resolved. Okay, Honorable Russell.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Much obliged.
Thank you. Honorable David Kiplagat, DK.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Request for statement regarding strategic food reserves in the country. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 44.2c, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Agriculture and Livestock regarding strategic food reserve in the country, particularly the management of maize reserves. Honorable Speaker, management of strategic food reserves is crucial in ensuring national food security, particularly in times of crises such as drought, floods, and economic downtowns. In Kenya, maize is a staple food that plays a vital role in nutrition and the economy. Consequently, proper management of maize reserves is essential to the country's food security strategy. Each financial year, the government, through the national budgets, allocates funds to purchase maize to boost the strategic food reserves. However, in the financial year 2024-2025, due to budget constraints, the amount set aside for the strategic food reserve was significantly reduced, which places the country at a risk of food insecurity. Honorable Speaker, as the harvest season approaches in the North Rift region, farmers are concerned about the likelihood of facing unfavorable market prices for their maize crops, which may further worsen their financial position. In addition, the Kenya Meteorological Department has forecast a looming La Nina phenomenon from October to December 2024, which may persist into early 2025 in most parts of the country. The maize distribution is expected to be poor over most parts of the country, with prolonged dry spells and cases of isolated storms expected. This situation may worsen food insecurity in the country, necessitating strategic focus on maize reserves. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request the chairperson for the Departmental Committee on Agriculture and Livestock to report on the following. Measures to be taken to purchase maize produce from the upcoming harvest so as to stabilize the market prices and increase the strategic food reserve. Secondly, plans to be taken to dispose of approximately 750,000 90 kg bags of old maize stocks to make room for the new harvest. Thirdly, action to be taken to settle the 491 million in outstanding arrears owed to farmers by the National Cereals and Produce Board (NCBP) for maize delivered over 120 days ago. And lastly, the level of preparedness by the government to manage the predicted La Nina phenomenon and plans to mitigate its impact on food security. I thank you, Honorable Speaker. And maybe because it is a matter of national importance, I have colleagues from the North Rift, you can give them to
You
to
have
chip in.
no right to solicit for anybody to support your statement. You have. Yes. Where are your friends from North Rift? Yes, Honorable Member Adam. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, the matter raised by Honorable DK is a very weighty matter, not only for the North Rift farmers, but farmers across the country. Mr. Speaker, we are now headed to the season where farmers are harvesting their maize. And as we are talking now, the prices are so low, and they're almost lacking places to dispose their maize. Mr. Speaker, as a country, we promised Kenyan farmers that they will get what we call guarantee minimum returns. Now, as we are talking, the maize price is around 2,800, and we are requesting that government puts adequate resources so that NCBB can purchase maize from farmers, and it will also allow them to prepare next year to go back to farming and produce food for this country. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand together with the Honorable David Kiblagat, member for Soy, in asking the Chair of the Agriculture and Livestock to respond, especially many of the farmers, maize farmers, me included, Honorable Speaker. We are worried of our harvest now because the harvest is pamba, but the prices are very low. So I think maize being one of the main foodstuffs within our country. And as you are aware, Honorable Speaker, even my neighbors from Western, ugali is the main thing. So we would want the government to be able to set aside, and more so this House which does the budgeting, that when we are doing budgeting, please let's set aside good amount of money to national cereals and produce so that they can buy strategic maize reserve from the farmers, so that when parts of the country are experiencing food shortage, we have now enough bamba harvest. If the price can go to 4,000, we would be happy, and many of the farmers can be able to deliver our maize to the National Cereals and Produce Board. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity, and I want to support my colleague from Wazingishu, Honorable DK. Mr. Speaker, there is a saying that says, not planning is planning to fail. And we've seen in this country, there are those very crucial months that people go without food. Right now in the North Rift, it is harvesting time for maize farmers, and people have more than the surplus. They have excess, even they cannot store it in their own galleries. Mr. Speaker, it is very high time that the country starts planning for bad days ahead, the days when every part of the country will need that crop, Mr. Speaker. So I just want to support him and say that it is about time we plan, we mop up the maize that is in the farmers' gallery, because right now farmers are crying, Mr. Speaker. They are selling a bag of maize for 2,400 shillings, and they are not able to recoup their investment. Mr. Speaker, if we allow middlemen who have the capacity maybe to store the produce, they'll buy it very cheap and they'll come and sell it later on. But whereas the farmer who has done the donkey work will not have benefited anything. So, Mr. Speaker, that is my humble plea that we should actually look at the future by buying the maize from the farmers, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, the matter raised by the honorable member is so key to this country. And if approached from an economic point of view, we shall realize the weight with which it carries. Ordinarily, the tendency of farmers to produce more when there is deficit and hunger, and then stopping to produce the following year because they have manufactured, they have gotten more crop, is very common and has been understood in economics by Collingwood in his East African economics as the buffer stock business, whereby governments must then undertake to purchase the extra stocks so that we don't lose the price for farmers. Because once we lose the price for farmers, they will not produce the following year, and now we shall have a drop in production and therefore the high prices. So that's a matter that is very important, given that His Excellency did pronounce himself on the fertilizer that was subsidized. This was the beginning of this production. And if we don't maintain what we did with the subsidized fertilizer by making sure that we contain the buffer stocks within the market in order to control the prices for the farmers will not produce any more maize and we shall go back to where we were. Honorable Speaker, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for also giving me this opportunity to contribute to this statement by Honorable DK. Mr. Speaker, I want to specifically zero into Uasin Gishu County, where maize harvesting is going on now. Mr. Speaker, it is very important for the government to prepare urgently to buy maize from the farmers so that we avoid the issue of cartels taking advantage. Mr. Speaker, currently the price of maize in Uasin Gishu is going for 2,800. It is very unfortunate because the farmers take almost a whole year preparing until harvest time, and it will be an injustice for them to sell the end product at a merely 2,800 shillings, Mr. Speaker. So I urge the government, and specifically, to adequately resource the National Cereals Produce Board so that it can be able to support the farmers so that they can get the guaranteed minimum returns for their maize. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Kamket, do you want to talk about cattle rustling or maize?
you know, Mr. Speaker, when I hear the maize growers complain about the prices of maize, those of us who are net purchasers of maize are very happy when the price is down, Mr. Speaker. These people are used to buying our goats and cows at throwaway prices. Now, it is our time to buy their maize at very cheap prices so that they can now realize that they can feel what they have been feeling. Mr. Speaker, I am an advocate of that price of maize should be going lower and lower to allow us to buy and to stock more food in our homes, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, DK, what is it?
It is Honorable Kamket in order to insinuate that farmers in the North Rift and the Republic of Kenya should sell maize at cheaper price for his own benefit, and we have not brought any statement to indicate that his cows should go at a cheaper price. Is it in order?
Yes, because...
Honorable Speaker, you know Honorable Kamget is misleading the House. He's been taking our cows and goats free. So he cannot say that we are taking them at throwaway price because he comes at night, steals them, and sells them at a throwaway price. So he takes them free.
Yes, Honorable McLap, you'll be the last on that. All the honorable members holding unlawful kamkunjis in the House. Wamaua and your group, that meeting is illegal. Take your seats or retreat to the corridor and talk from there. Yes,
thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me talk on economic terms. Mr. Speaker, all of us in the North Rift, not all of us in the North Rift, Mr. Speaker, are maize farmers. Majority of us are actually pastoralists in that area. And Mr. Speaker, this government of ours, the Kenya Kwanza administration, has been working very hard to bring the cost of unga and the cost of living to come down. Mr. Speaker, it is only the cost of living and the cost of unga comes down when the prices of maize comes down, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, on this particular matter, let us allow the forces of supply and demand to play in the economy of the country so that those who are pastoralists will get their take. Those who are farmers will get their take, Mr. Speaker, so that there is a fair economic matrix, so that until we reach what is called a lava curve, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't agree with him. Let us have an economy that is determined by the forces of demand and supply so that this country is balanced.
Order, DK Donya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That's the last.
As much as we are discussing about maize, Mr. Speaker, I'm seated with members here, and it seems my colleagues, they are asking questions. We have an impeachment motion of the deputy in the Senate. He has not appeared for the afternoon session, Mr. Speaker. And we are worried. We need to know where he is, because he was our client from the Assembly, and now we can't locate him in the Senate, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Donya.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Order. Honorable Donya, you are completely out of order. In law, the National Assembly is described as functus officio on this matter. You handled it, you passed on, you have no jurisdiction or authority over it anymore. What is happening is in the Senate has nothing to do with what happened here. We don't supervise the Senate. Order. Neither is it your responsibility to track the whereabouts of the Deputy President. And it has never been, and it will never be. Chairman, Agriculture. Yes, Odiwar. Odiwar.
The deputy president is my constituent, and him missing is not a good thing, sir.
Order, Honorable.
I'm worried.
Honorable Jalash, you are even more out of order. Member for Tegania East, Chairman of Agriculture. You've heard the statement from DK and all the support views and opposing views. Bring a response in 2 weeks.
Yes, from Tigania West.
Tigania West, sorry.
Yeah, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I've heard what the members are saying. Honourable Speaker, guaranteed minimum return is calculated so that farmers can be encouraged to continue on farming. It must be higher than the producer price. So it's a good idea to have that done. But I'll consult the ministry and get back to the House with the correct...
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. Thank you very much.
Robert Mbui.
Honorable Speaker, this is a request for a statement regarding removal of asbestos roofing from all buildings in the country. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44.2c, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Environment, Forestry and Mining regarding the status of implementation of the government directive on the removal of asbestos roofing from all buildings in the country. Honorable Speaker, in 2011, NEMA issued guidelines to ensure the safe removal, handling, packaging, and transportation of asbestos for disposal, and to raise awareness on the hazards of asbestos, such as the cause for chronic illnesses like asbestosis, lung cancer, and mesothelioma. Further, on Wednesday, 28 August 2024, the CS for the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change, and Forestry issued a directive to NEMA to identify facilities, including schools and private establishments, with asbestos roofing countrywide for removal and safe disposal of all the asbestos roofing within 3 months. The decision was made owing to the health and environmental risks associated with asbestos particularly with cancer. Honorable Speaker, more than a decade since NEMA guidelines were issued, the country is yet to be informed of the progress made with regard to removal of asbestos roofing owing to health and environmental risks. Honorable Speaker, it is against this backdrop that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Environment, Forestry and Mining on the following. One, Mr. Speaker, is the provision of a report on the number of private and public buildings in the country that were found to have asbestos roofing. Two, the progress made with regard to the implementation of the directive on removal and safe disposal of all the asbestos roofs, particularly in public utilities. Three, a report on whether the guidelines, the timelines provided by the Cabinet Secretary are adequate to carry out the removal and disposal of all the asbestos from all the affected buildings in the country, and an assessment of the cost implication of the exercise and its effect on the possibility of compliance within the given timelines. And this is because these are a lot of public institutions are the ones that are going to be affected by this. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair, Environment, Forestry and Mining, Honorable Gikaria.
Yes, Speaker.
This House passed a law probably 10 years ago. If you remember, you'll have to check, outlawing asbestos on any of our buildings in the country. Why do we still have asbestos on buildings?
Honorable Speakers, actually it was, Honorable Speaker, if you remember during our vetting, when the nominee then, Mr. Dwale, came before us, he made a commitment to be able, so if he gives us maybe 2 weeks, we will be under, about the law that was passed. Again, Honorable Speaker, I'll be checking this evening for me to be able to give an update next week.
Okay, Dr. Bukose.
Honorable Speaker, this issue about asbestos is affecting not just the schools. It is also affecting health facilities. It is affecting houses within the military. It is affecting even towns, the old houses which were built under the municipal council. And it is widespread. So I thought the chair would be able to even have proper documentation so that we can have proper disposal of the asbestos. Because from a health point of view, Honorable Speaker, asbestos causes asbestosis, which is a lung cancer. And therefore, it is of public health concern that this matter is taken seriously and addressed with finality, because it's a major problem within our country. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Gikaria, you hear that? And this House actually passed a law outlawing the use of asbestos on any of our buildings, whether they are schools, churches, or dwelling houses. Yes, Mama Rachel?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just would like to support this statement and to say that in my constituency, Mr. Speaker, in Ekanga Health Center, we have asbestos. And the information we have been given is that the national government is going to remove all asbestos and it should not be touched. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like to urge the chair that this is a matter that must be taken up very seriously. We had many places with asbestos. Honorable Nyiva donated land where all of it was taken, but later other lorries came and carried it for safer, to be taken to a safer place. Meaning that even the place that had been donated was not safe because it was taking water to water sources. So, Honorable Speaker, the chair must give a very strong commitment on how we are going to deal with asbestos, and if possible, come to pick the asbestos in Ekanga Health Center to support my constituents so that they don't get sick.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Maybe, Mr. Speaker, I wanted to propose something that they could consider. You see, one of the things that's happening is that when people are told to remove asbestos, they still have to go back to NEMA to seek approval to remove the same asbestos that NEMA has already asked that they remove. And that costs money. Mr. Speaker, again, NCA, which is involved in construction, also wants to be paid for someone to remove asbestos to put iron sheets. Possibly, Mr. Speaker, they need to consider and explore a possibility of exempting those that have asbestos so that the cost comes down. The government keeps off its hands from these facilities so that we can be able to do it, because it's affecting our schools, our health centers, and also some residential properties, as you've heard, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Nyikal. Dr. Nyikal. Give Dr. Nyikal the mic. There you are, Doctor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as use of asbestos is illegal. So by law, houses or buildings that have roofs of asbestos should not even be approved for habitation. So we are actually talking of an illegality. The Public Health Department has the right to declare all those buildings not fit for occupation. So, Mr. Speaker, my suggestion would be all institutions and the departments or the MDAs that have such institutions with buildings of asbestos must actually have a plan to put them in place. They can actually be prosecuted, so that there should be a clear plan. All ministries, all departments which have buildings with asbestos must put in place a plan to remove them. Otherwise, they prosecute. Mr. Speaker, you can actually prosecute the PSS in those areas because they are having buildings that are a danger to health, and the Public Health Department can do it. So I think this matter should be taken in that line and actually given to government departments to make sure that all those buildings are actually removed or asbestos removed and gotten rid of. And it is not the role of the people who are in the houses to know what to do with asbestos. It is those government institutions that should plan how to remove them and get rid of them because where you are going to put them is also an issue. You can't give that role to the institutions. So, Mr. Speaker, there is a need for a national plan to get rid of asbestos in compliance with the law.
Makali Mulu.
Yeah, thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we are discussing a very important matter. And just as we are discussing asbestos, Honorable Speaker, and in my constituency, we have them actually at the center of the town. We also have the issue of discharge of toxic substances to our rivers and all that. And I'm just imagining that as a House, Honorable Speaker, I don't think we are powerless. We should be able to take action as a House, because that law was passed in this House. It is the issue of enforcement. I think, Honorable Speaker, we just need to make sure that from where you sit, you instruct the concerned authorities to enforce the law so that we don't expose our people to health problems, Honorable Speaker. So I really think, Honorable Speaker, this House must act to ensure that the law is enforced. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Gikaria. Yes, Mama Roida, I want to move on to something else. Tandaza on this?
Asante, Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, hizi asbestos zina madhara twajua na sheria ilipitishwa hapa, lakini kwangu kule sijui watu wanaona tuko karibu na Somalia kule wanatuachia. Kuna nyumba za hospitali, tena wanaishi huko ni madaktari kizingitini. Zote hizo ziko na asbesto juu. Kisha kitu kingine cha kusikitisha, hospitali ya Kiunga alipewa contractor kutoa asbesto. Akazitoa na hakika katika hiyo biki kulikuwa na njia ya wapi atazidispose, atatupa. Aliyopatia wananchi wa Kiunga, hivi kila manyumba wamechukua ziko kwa private houses, badala kwenda kuzizika pahali au kuzipeleka kuzitupa kwa njia mzuri. Huyo contractor wa Kiunga hospital aliziacha, wananchi wamechukua, hivyo wametengenezea maboma. Ni hatari sana. Naomba wahusika wahakikishe hilo jambo limerekebishwa kabla halijaleta madhara. Tumeambiwa hizi vitu zinasababisha kansa. Mnatarajia watu wangu wa Kiunga wapate hizo shida, wenyewe maskini ya roho zao. Asante, Bwana Spika.
Tandaza on this. Give, yes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I would also want to add my expertise on this as a lead expert on NEMA. Asbestos is not one commodity that can just be left to anybody to handle. And I take exception to the contributions where people have just said, we waive the regulations, the NEMA regulations, so that people can dispose on their own. Before you dispose asbestos, a proper environmental impact assessment has to be done. You cannot just handle asbestos with your bare hands the way you would want to remove your iron sheets or your makuti thatched houses. It's needed special protective equipment to handle asbestos. It also needs specialized transportation vehicles to transport asbestos so as not to endanger as it is transported to the dumping site. The dumping site has to be an approved dumping site in terms of depth, in terms of the soil conditions, so that when it rains, the drainage, the water that will be draining from that particular site will not endanger the existing rivers and wells. So, Honorable Speaker, there is no shortcut to disposal of asbestos. All what we will need to do as a house is probably to take it up, allocate adequate funds when we are doing our budgets so that they can be disposed of safely. Otherwise, haphazard disposal will create more problems than it is now. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Gikaria, as the chair of the committee, I doubt if you will do justice to this statement. I direct that upon resumption after the short recess, on the first Wednesday after resumption, the Minister for Environment appears before the House to tell the country how they are going to get asbestos roofings of all structures in the country and how they are going to dispose them of in the manner described in the act that banned the use of asbestos. Because 10 years down the line, hospitals, churches, schools, dwelling houses still have asbestos roofs. So what you will do is join the clerk in conveying this message to the minister that you chair the oversight committee, and he will be here in 2 weeks with a comprehensive statement with timelines on when we are going to clear this menace once and for all. We together? Thank you, Chairman. Honorable Tandaza, mbunge wa Matuga.
Asante mstahiki Spika. Nasimama kwa ombi la kauli kuhusu kukarabatiwa kwa barabara ya Mwabungo Majimboni Shimba Hills Kilulu Mrima kwa alama ya mabano ba 98. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa mujibu wa kanuni ya 44(2) cha, naomba kauli kutoka kwa mwenyekiti wa kamati ya kiidara uchukuzi na miundo msingi kuhusu kukarabatiwa kwa barabara ya Mwabungo Majimboni Shimba Hills Kilulu Mrima nambari ba 98. Mheshimiwa Spika, miundombinu bora hasa barabara nzuri ni kichocheo muhimu cha maendeleo ya kiuchumi na uboreshaji wa hali ya maisha kwa kurahisisha kufikia huduma za umma kwa haraka inavyohitajika. Hata hivyo, wakazi wa eneo bunge la Matuga bado hawajafurahia miundo msingi kwa sababu ya hali duni ya takriban kilomita 50 za barabara ya Mwabungo Majimboni Shimba Hills Kilulu Mrima, ambayo kwa sasa iko katika hali mbaya na haipitiki. Mbali na kuanganisha sehemu nyingi inazopitia katika kaunti ya Kwale, barabara hii pia hufanikisha shughuli za utalii katika hifadhi ya kitaifa ya Shimba Hills. Hali mbaya ya barabara hiyo imeathiri uchumi kwa kupandisha gharama ya uchukuzi, biashara na ufikishaji huduma za umma. Licha ya mamlaka ya barabara kuu ya Kenya, KENHA, kutangaza zabuni nambari KENHA mraba R9 mraba 150 mraba 2024 ya kukarabati barabara hiyo mwezi wa Februari 2024, hakuna hatua yoyote dhahiri ambayo imechukuliwa hadi sasa, hali ambayo inazua wasiwasi miongoni mwa wakazi kuhusu utekelezaji wa zabuni hiyo. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kutokana na hali hiyo ndipo naomba kauli ya mwenyekiti wa kamati ya uchukuzi na miundo msingi kuhusu yafuatayo. Moja, ripoti kuhusu hatua zilizofikiwa katika utekelezaji wa zabuni nambari KENHA mraba R9 mraba 150 mraba 2024 iliyotangazwa mwezi wa Februari 2024 kuhusu ukarabati wa barabara ya Mwabungo Majimboni Shimba Hills Kilulu Mrima. Pili, hatua zinazochukuliwa ili kukarabati barabara ya Mwabungo Majimboni Shimba Hills Kilulu Mrima nambari B98 haraka iwezekanavyo, ikiwa ni pamoja na kiwango cha fedha zilizotengewa mradi huo, na tatu, mipango iliyowekwa na KENHA ili kuweka lami barabara ya Mwabungo Majimboni Shimba Hills Kilulu Mrima, ikiwa ni pamoja na ratiba ya ujenzi wa barabara hiyo na tarehe ya kukamilishwa. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipatia hii nafasi, na mimi nataka niongeze sauti katika hili swala Mheshimiwa Tandaza alilolieleza. Hii ni barabara muhimu sana inayounganisha maeneo bunge matatu katika kaunti ya Kwale. Hii barabara inaanzia katika eneo bunge la Msambweni ambalo mimi naliwakilisha hapa, ikipitia eneo bunge la Matuga, eneo bunge Mheshimiwa Tandaza nalo liunganisha hapa, ikifika eneo bunge la Lungalunga. Hii barabara Mheshimiwa Spika ni kama imesahauliwa na hili shirika letu la KENHA. Barabara hii kama tunavyojua, miundo mbinu ndio uti wa mgongo wa maendeleo yoyote, na katika sehemu hizi ndio sehemu ambazo katika Kwale County tumezizingatia sana pakubwa katika swala zima la ukulima. Huku watu wanafanya ukulima kama sehemu ya Shimba Hills. Hiyo ndio sehemu ambayo ukuzaji wa machungwa yanakuzwa kwa hali ya wingi sana. Nikisema machungwa yale tunayotumia katika mkoa wa Pwani, 70% yanatoka katika mji wa Shimba Hills na barabara yake haipitiki. Kwa hiyo hata mimi ningemuomba mwenyekiti wa ile komiti ya transport atueleze, aje hapa atueleze wizara iko na mikakati gani ya kuhakikisha hii barabara inakarabatiwa kwa haraka upesi. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Zair.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Speaker, I acknowledge the response and the statement from the members, but the chairman will give a comprehensive response in the next 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, so that. Yes, Gichumu.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. Honorable Speaker, on the 2nd day of October 2024, I requested a statement from the Chairman, Committee of Agriculture, regarding the payment of tea bonus for Kemunye and Umaita tea factories, which are situated within Geshogo constituency. And there was a commitment through the Vice Chair that this statement will be coming will be responded to within 2 weeks, which lapsed yesterday. Honorable Speaker, this matter is of utmost urgency because the tea farmers from the 2 factories are still have still boycotted plucking, and it is important that the matter be handled with a little bit of urgency so that I can be able to give feedback to the farmers that I represent in Geshogo.
Thank you. Mutunga, you are supposed to respond to that. The last 2 weeks, I'm told.
Honourable Speaker, the issue of tea has been countrywide, not in one area.
Do you have the response?
I do not have the response, but we are getting the response in a week's time, because we are also going out this week to even establish by ourselves what exactly caused the variance in pricing.
Okay.
Of the bonuses.
Thank you. Starting with the Chair Rhodes, I'm told, Zahir, you have the responses. Start by responding to the statement of Monica Marubu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on Thursday, 19th June 2024, the member for Lamu County, Honorable Monica Marubu, Member of Parliament, requested for a statement from the chairman of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure regarding the status of compensation for fishermen in Lamu County. Honorable Speaker, in the statement, the Honorable Monica Marubu sought to establish, among other things, details of the fishermen set to receive compensation, including their areas of residence, fishing grounds, and state criteria used for the verification process. Honorable Speaker, measures in place to ensure that only fishermen from the affected fishing grounds and local fisher community receive compensation and provide timelines for completion of the compensation process. And why the government is yet to implement a fishing value chain approach to boost the fishing industry of the area, considering that the compensation provided to fishermen does not provide a long-term solution, hence jeopardizing the sustainable source of livelihood of the community. Honorable Speaker, the committee received a response from the Ministry of Roads and Transport through the Clerk of the National Assembly on the 20th of September 2024, which I wish to make. Honorable Speaker, regarding the details of the fishermen to receive the compensation, including the areas of residence, fishing grounds, and state criteria used for the verification process. The ministry acknowledged that the fishermen residing in Lamu County are set to receive cash compensation. It also noted that the affected victims were identified through beach management units with the cooperation of the local BMUs, chairs, and the county government. Honorable Speaker, in March 2023, KPA, Kenya Ports Authority, began verifying and processing agreements for compensation, initially approving 4,026 fishermen. However, a directive from the EACC halted payments for further verification. Honorable Speaker, after completing their investigation, the EACC validated 4,167 fishermen, while an additional 567 names were requested for verification. As per the court order from December 1st, 2022, KPA has commenced compensation payments of Kenya shilling 241,714 to each of the 4,026 approved fishermen and boat owners, totaling to 973,141,852. Honorable Speaker, payments were to be completed by June 2nd, 2024, up to date. KPA has successfully processed payments to 3,887 fishermen, while 139 payments bounced due to incorrect bank details. Honorable Speaker, with regards to the measures in place to ensure that the fishermen from the affected fishing grounds and local fisher community receive compensation and provide timelines for completion of the compensation process, the ministry submitted that KPA, guided by the EACC, will adhere to a set criteria. The compensation is expected to be completed by mid of December 2024, contingent on the chairs of beach management units, famously known as the BMUs, providing the identities of the 567 disputed names. Honorable Speaker, the list of the eligible fishermen and boat owners were compiled by officials of the BMU and representatives from the county government of Lamu, based on the following criteria. 1, they must have been fishermen or boat owner by October 16, 2016. They must have been registered with the county government of Lamu as either fishermen or boat owner or by the same date. Honorable Speaker, regarding the reasons government is yet to implement fishing value chain approach to boost the fishing industry of the area, considering the compensation provided to fishermen does not provide a long-term solution, hence jeopardizing the sustainable source of livelihood of the community. The cash compensation is 65% of the Lamu fishermen compensation amount. Honorable Speaker, the other 35% of the fund consists of 640 million set aside by the government for development of physical infrastructure and support services toward the fishing industry in the area. KPA is set to engage the Lamu stakeholders on the nature of equipment they will wish KPA to procure as part of the sustainability development. A task force, Honorable Speaker, that was formed in 2019 to follow up on the compensation and its modalities. Honorable Speaker, it is prudent to note, however, that due to passage of time and changing fishing dynamics in Lamu County, Honorable Speaker, there is need to have this report proposal validated in terms of the identity of the equipment and the equivalent specifications before the validation exercise. Honorable Speaker, the task force will be required to conduct consultative and stakeholder participation engagement activities in Lamu County. This is a process to be undertaken by the members of the task force before KPA and can move towards a procurement stage. Honorable Speaker, as I wind up, KPA has committed to facilitating the conclusion of the compensation process by engaging all the stakeholders involved. Honorable Speaker, the committee also assures the honorable member that it will follow up on this matter and has planned to engage the ministry on the same early in November. Honorable Speaker, I submit.
Okay, the originator of the question, do you want to make a comment? Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the honorable member and a member of the said committee have indicated that the identification and indeed the compilation of the list of the beneficiaries were done in collaboration with everyone else except the members of parliament of the National Assembly. KPA is the Ministry of Transport, and KPA are functions of the national government. How come that the names and the process was done with everyone else except the members of the National Assembly, myself, and the other members included? Number two, Madam Speaker, I have not seen the list of the 3,800 and something fisher persons that the honorable member has indicated have been compensated. I hope the list is available, because we have had a situation in Lamu where everyone else is compensated except the people of Lamu. We had a situation where people were compensated for land in Kililana for the Lamu port, and these people, like 3/4 of the people that were compensated were people out of Lamu. So in this situation, Madam Speaker, I can always, I can almost commit that the list of the said members of the fishing community are not people of Lamu. But then we will see the list, and then we will interrogate and submit it to the people, because we've had a situation where people are taking the money for the people of Lamu. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Okay.
Honorable Speaker, I acknowledge the additional concerns raised by the Honorable Member. As a committee, through the Chair, we will follow up by engaging the Ministry further and inviting the Cabinet Secretary to a further meeting together with the Honorable Member, so that she can come and have a meeting with the Ministry and members of the committee.
Fair enough, thank you. Next, is there a response for the question by Honorable Ruku? He's not around. Okay, so let's proceed to the other statements. You have the statement, okay, proceed. But the member is not here. I think just table the report, since the member is not here. Thank you. Let's go to the responses to previous questions. The response by the Communication, Information and Innovation Committee Chair to respond to Honorable Clive Kiziaro.
Back here.
Are you doing it on behalf of the committee?
Yeah, I'm the vice chair of the committee. Let me respond.
Proceed.
Thank you, Speaker. The Honorable Clive Gisairo, Member for Parliament of Kitutu Masaba, of the 13th Parliament of the 3rd Session of the National Assembly, raised the question below. His question number 1 was, what's the status of implementation of the Kenya Digital Economy Acceleration Project since disbursement of funds by World Bank? And here is the response. Honorable Speaker, the KDEAP project was declared effective 2nd February 2024, following a legal opinion by the Attorney General. The government had its time met the 6 conditions of effectiveness of the project. The ministry obtained a budget allocation of 400 million Kenyan shillings in the supplementary budget to fiscal year 2023-2024 in the month of June 2024. The money was received in the designated account at the National Treasury on 27th June 2024. However, the disbursement of the project bank account under ICT Authority is yet to be completed. The current fiscal year 2024-2025 has a budget allocation of 2.8 billion granted, and the 18-month work plan has been approved by the World Bank. And the second question for Honorable Xairo was, what regions benefited from implementation of the project so far? And here is the response. Honorable Speaker, the project implementation is starting this current financial year, and the terms of reference are under review in preparation for the rollout. Upon implementation, the project will benefit the whole country. Here, the third question. What are the expected gains for the project, for this project? The response, Honorable Speaker, the beneficiary of the project include citizens, the private sector, public sector agencies, students, and civil servants. Individuals across the nation will benefit from wider opportunities to participate in the digital economy through the widened access of broadband internet, public Wi-Fi hotspots, and the community access schemes, as well as digital access of public services, as well as enhanced data protection. The program places a strong emphasis on digital inclusivity and bridging the divide, i.e. the BWDs, that's people with disabilities, vulnerable communities, and underserved areas. On the same note, we have the second response for Honorable Doris Donya Toto, the women rep for Kisii. He had asked the question 1, measures that are in place to ensure the ISPs such as Safaricom.
What's your point of order?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. He has responded to my statement. I think I was to be allowed to comment before he goes to the next statement he wants to respond to, which is not mine.
Okay, I think we can allow that. So let's wait for the next statement. Proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I sought for a statement around 6 months ago. The statement was in regard to a disbursement by World Bank of $390 million, which is equivalent to 48 billion Kenya shillings. Madam Speaker, the response we've had here is not worth 100,000 Kenya shillings. This is basic and simply disrespectful to this House. Honorable Speaker, this is the reason why the chair has always avoided bringing this statement to this House, despite my many follow-ups. He had even confided in me that he cannot stand in this House to read this statement. Because what is written here, I doubt even the permanent secretary went through it before appending his signature. This is a statement written by an intern in that office. When we are talking about 48 billion, and the response talking about 400 million, which again, it goes ahead to say, has not gotten into their account. A project which was funded in 2023 March to date. Honorable Speaker, I'm totally dissatisfied with this response and would like that the committee helps me get a proper response, even if it means me joining them in the committee to get to the depth of this matter. We cannot have such responses after 6 months. You get 3 leaves of paper explaining nothing, telling us that the beneficiaries will be the citizens and the whole country. Honorable Speaker, I'm totally disappointed, and I hope to get a proper response on the statement that I sought from the committee chair of ICT. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Nabi.
Madam Speaker, the Kenya Digital Economy Acceleration Project is a World Bank project that is supposed to help not just anyone, but the young people of this country, the disadvantaged people of this country. Madam Speaker, it disappoints me that we are talking about 48 billion shillings. This is money the World Bank has brought to this economy that is supposed to accelerate the economy. And we cannot finger out any single project anywhere in this country. They are hiding behind the word citizens. Can they identify which citizens are going to benefit in this project? because citizens come from somewhere. The project is supposed to be domesticated somewhere. It is very disappointing. And Madam Speaker, I would like you to find this committee completely out of order, not giving us satisfactory answers.
Okay, I think probably the committee can help the member if you summon the relevant state departments, and then Honorable Member for Kitutu Masaba can attend and get maybe final answers. I think that's a better way of dealing with it. Is that acceptable?
That's accepted, Madam Speaker, but if they can give us timelines. It has taken 6 months to bring this. If we don't have timelines, we may end the 13th Parliament without a response.
Yes, I think it can be within 2 weeks of after recess. I think 6 months is really out of order. Okay, thank you. Let's go to, you can move to the next statement.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We'll do as guided by your office, and we'll invite a member. Together with the minister, we'll discuss it further. Now let's go to the second question, which was asked by Honorable Doris Donya, MP. Her first question was measures that are in place to ensure that ISPs such as Safaricom, Telecom, Airtel compensate their customers adequately during prolonged internet outages. Response number 1, internet service providers fall under the application service provider license category implemented by the Communication Authority. The authority has licensed over 500 applications service providers, and they are required to provide quality services devoid of service interruptions. The licensed entities are required to put in place measures that will ensure continued uptime of their services to ensure high availability, reliability of internet services, as well as customer complaint handling mechanism. Whereas the current regulatory framework does not prescribe specific compensation in case of service outrage, the service providers provide for different levels of compensation to their customers. These include wireless data bundles when affected by fiber at home, internet services downtime, data bundle period extension for period of unavailability, no charge for postpaid customers for period of unavailability, apologies, communicate through various communication channels. That was our first question. He had another question. Question number 2, clarify on the implementation of broadband compensation and repeats by internet services providers for their customers in the event of service disruptions. The response, the interruption during planned activities or system upgrade, that's maintenance, licenses are required to notify the CA and their customers 7 days before such a downtime. These activities are also expected to be carried out during lowest period of tariff volumes. For unforeseen outages, licensees are expected to inform the CA of the occurrence within 24 hours and outline the measures they have undertaken to ensure minimum disruptions of service to customers. CA also handles customers' complaint on the case-by-case basis. He had another question, number 3, where she was requesting outline the steps taken by the Minister of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy to enhance accountability in ISPs and protect the rights of customers, especially in the right of increasing dependence on internet services. And this is the response for the last question, a part of it. CA through establishment framework for assessment of quality of services, that's QoS, of telecommunication service systems that covers end-to-end QoS services, parameters for voice, SMS, and data. Currently, Safaricom, Airtel, and Telecom are assessed on an annual basis. The mobile network operators that fall to meet the minimum standard of 80% QoS performance is issued with a notice of violation. Failure to address may lead to penalties up to 0.4% of the mobile network annual turnover. The framework is currently under review in order to enhance accountability of the ISPs. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Donya Doris, do you want to comment?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My major question actually was during power shortages and when the Safaricom are doing their repairs, which they can do for 2 to 3 days, they don't compensate the customers with what they've lost. Yet, you subscribe every month. So for those 3 days, they've not paid the customers. How do they get compensated? During power outages, no one gets the bundles for compensation. He has not even indicated what I had asked. Mheshimiwa Alpha, they don't compensate. What you've been given to answer is null and void. That is Kamago's response.
Do you have any response? Yes, because she's saying that you have not answered the actual question.
Then what I can recommend, let's invite the honorable member with the affected department from the ministry, and we dig further about the issue.
Time frame? Again, within 2 weeks, since it's from the same State Department. Within 2 weeks after we resume from recess. Thank you. Okay, I think we're done with the next order. Oh, it's a statement. Do you have your weekly report?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I am holding brief for the substantive majority leader for his usual Thursday statement. And Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order number 44-2A, I rise to give the following statement on behalf of the House Business Committee, which met on Tuesday, 15th October 2024. Although again, the House Business Committee still met today to prioritize business for consideration during the week. Honorable Speaker, I wish to commend the leadership of this House and members for the dedication and cooperation exhibited in the session so far. As members will note, Honorable Speaker, the House resolved to hold sittings tomorrow on Friday, 18th October 2024, commencing at 9:30 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. respectively, tomorrow on Friday. The House is therefore set to proceed on a short recess commencing Tuesday, 22nd October 2024, and resume regular sittings on Tuesday, 5th November 2024. I really hope the members who are consulting in loud, Honorable Speaker, are able to take note of the particular dates, because it will be remembered that when we went for a short recess last session, Honorable Speaker, some few members still reported to duty in this House the following day because they were not very keen on when the House adjourned for short recess. So I say that the House is going to proceed for short recess from Tuesday, 22nd October, and the regular sittings will resume on Tuesday, 5th November 2024. Honorable Speaker, with regards to the business schedule for tomorrow, Friday, 18th October 2024, the House is expected to consider the following private members' business and other priority business, some of which are listed in today's order paper. Committee of the whole House of the Senate amendments to the Food and Feed Safety Control Coordination Bill 2023. Second reading of the following bills, Honorable Speaker: the Higher Education Loans Board Amendment Bill 2022, the Parliamentary Pensions Bill 2023, the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill 2022, the Political Parties Amendment Bill 2022, the Parliamentary Pensions Amendment Bill 2022, the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 37 of 2023, the Environmental Management and Coordination Amendment Bill 2023, the Land Control Bill 2023, and the County Government's Revenue Raising Process Bill of 2023. Honorable Speaker, with regard to business schedule for Tuesday, 5th November 2024, the House is expected to continue second reading of the following bills, if not concluded. That is the Equalization Fund Administration Bill, Senate Bill number 14 of 2023, the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill 2022, and the Political Parties Amendment Bill 2022. Additionally, Honorable Speaker, debate will also be undertaken on the following motions, should they not be concluded today. That is the first report on the implementation status of the House resolutions of the committee, reports and public petitions passed by the House, report on the alleged unfair trade practices by foreign investors in Kenya, second report on employment diversity audit in public institutions, report of the extraordinary session of the 6th Pan-African Parliament, consideration of reports on financial statement of the state corporations of Nyanza region, third report on consideration of the audited accounts of specified state corporations, and consideration of session of paper number 5 of 2023 on the national policy on migration, on labor migration. Having said that, Honorable Speaker, in accordance with the provisions of Standing Order number 42A, 5 and 6, I wish to convey that the Cabinet Secretary for Roads and Transport is scheduled to appear before the House on the afternoon Wednesday, 6th of November, to respond to the following questions. Number one question, Honorable Speaker, is by private notice number 13 of 2024 by the member for Gatanga, the Honorable Wakili Edward Mureu, MP, regarding status of any negotiation for concession agreement between the government and the Adani Group regarding the management of Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Honorable Speaker, question by private notice number 14, 2024 by the member for Embakasi West, the Honorable Mark Mwenje, regarding amount of money disbursed to KERA for financial year 2023 and 2024 as of September 2024 for Nandi County, Nandi City County, yes. Sorry, it should be Nairobi City County. My apologies, Nandi is not a county, Honorable Speaker. And the measures, Nandi is not a city, sorry, it's a county, but it's not a city. I realized there's a typo here. It's supposed to be Nairobi City County and not Nandi City County. Nandi is not a city. It is a county, but it's not a city. It is some village county. Sorry, it's a good county known for very good farming for tea and other matters. And the measures being taken to address the...
What's your point of order, Honorable Meli?
Madam Speaker, the majority whip is actually demeaning my county. The source of champions, the county is known for tea, sugar and all, and even the home county, almost where the nationalist Koitalel somewhere came from. So you should read his statement well and apologize to the people of Nandi County.
My apologies, Honorable Meli. I really don't mean to undermine the great county of Nandi. What I meant is that it's a county that is found in the remote areas of this country and doing very well in, but it's not a city. And it does very well in athletics, farming, but the fact is it's in the remote areas of this country. But Honorable Speaker, question number 167.
Your point of order, Honorable Pukose.
You know, Honorable Speaker, that the supports are the grandfathers of the Kalenjin community. And I would not want Honorable Asoro to get away with disparaging the Nandi County as a remote county. It's not fair, Honorable Asoro. I think that one you should be able to withdraw that statement. With all respect, Majority Whip.
Thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, I hope Honorable Pukose will take judicial notice of the fact that my first girlfriend hailed from Nandi County, and I found that village was very remote when I was visiting that area then. And I also want to inform Honorable Pukose that I was privileged to attend a great school in a very, very great school in a remote area of Nandi County called Kapsabet. So, Honorable Speaker, I know when I say, no, the school is great, but it's found in some very remote area in Nandi County. But I am fair that Nandi is a great county. Question number 167, but it's not a city, we agree. Question number 167, 2023, by the member for Baringo Central, the Honorable Joshua Kandie, regarding criteria used and applied by the Kenya Roads Board to determine the amount of funds allocated to each constituency. Question number 178 of 2023 by the member for Kinangop, the Honorable Gonzi Rai, regarding the issuance of demolition notices against the Makinon Road Trading Center, purely by the Kenya National Highway Authority. And also the question number 13 of 2024 by the member for Vunyula, Honorable Dr. Ojiambo Oudo, MP, regarding the current status of Matayos, Ganjala, Nahasiko, Nangina Road that was rendered under the 10,000 kilometers low volume sealed road procured during the commencement of the financial year 2017-2018. There is also notice of question number 14 of 2024 by the member for Bahati, the Honorable Irene Joki, regarding the status report on the progress and expected timelines for completion of the Lanet Airport project. There is also question number 70 by the member for Malava, the Honorable Malulu Injendi, regarding the progress report of construction of Class AI Kakamega Kaburengi Road, whose construction commenced in October 2012. Number 78 of 2024 by the member for Luanda, the Honorable CPA Dick Maungu, regarding reasons for the delays by the contractor in upgrading of Maseno Kombeo Road to bitumen standard given the deplorable and impassable conditions of the 5.1 kilometer stretch from Maseno to Opasi to Luanda constituency. There is also question number 79 of 2024 by the member for Yata, or the Honorable Robert Basil, regarding reasons behind the significant delay in the completion of construction of the Matu Ekalakala Kiwindani Road to Kiasioni Road in Yata constituency. There is also question number 127, Honorable Speaker, of 2024, by the member for Laikipia North, the Honorable Sarah Korere, regarding reasons for delay in completion of construction works on Doldon and Nyuki Road in Laikipia North constituency. Question number 128, Honorable Speaker, by the member for the West Pokot County, the Honorable Rael Kasiwai, regarding the rationale behind the stalling of Baripelo Tot Marich Road project that expected date of commencement of the stall project. And there is also question number 129, Honorable Speaker, by the member for Kajiado South, the Honorable Samuel Parashina, regarding the details of the status of the construction of Ila City, Rombo Taveta Road. Question number 133 of 2024 by the member for Matuga, Kasim Tandaza, regarding the update of the progress of construction of Kwale Kinango B92 Road, whose construction commenced on 4th of August 2021 and was to be completed on 3rd August 2024. There is question number 137 of 2024 by the member for Igembe South, Igembe Central, the Honorable Daniel Carido, regarding the construction of Kangeta, Moeteni, Kadelua, Dhuuri Road that has stalled since 2016. There is also question number 138 by the member for Mwingi West, the Honorable Charles Ngusia, regarding the status of construction of the remaining 25-kilometer stretch, section of Kibwezi, Kitui, Kabati, Miwani, Bondoni Road, to bitumen standards which are stalled. Question number 139, Honorable Speaker, by the member for Matayos, the Honorable Geoffrey Odanga, regarding the measures put in place to ensure road safety on Thika Superhighway and monitoring of the road so as to mitigate the frequencies of such accidents. And finally, Honorable Speaker, on the questions, we have question number 140 by the member for Ikolomani, the Honorable Bernard Chinali, regarding the construction of E9127, Mulundu, Shitoli, Malinya, Lusui Road, that are stalled, and the CS can provide the measures put in place to ensure the resumption of works by the contractor. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, the House Business Committee, after today's meeting, Honorable Speaker, will reconvene again on Tuesday, the 5th of November, 2024, to schedule business for the rest of that week. I now wish to lay this statement, Honorable Speaker, on the table of the House. I thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
I think we can now move to the next order.
Order number 8, the Kenya Information and Communications Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 52 of 2022, second reading. Question to be put.
Honorable members, I now put the question that the Kenya Information and Communications Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 52 of 2022 be read a second time. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Kenya Information and Communications Act and for connected purposes. Order number 9, the Community Health Workers Bill, National Assembly Bill number 53 of 2022, second reading. Mover to reply.
Thank you, Honorable Owino.
Thank you very much.
You have a point of order? One moment. Do you have a point of order? Yes, proceed, Honorable Gogoyo.
Madam Speaker, would I be in order? Thank you. Madam Speaker, would I be in order to request that your indulgence, that this House observes a moment of sympathy to the Deputy President, who, Madam Speaker, has been taken ill this afternoon and is not able to transact. Madam Speaker, would I be in order to ask you to observe a moment of sympathy to the Deputy President?
What's your point of order, Honorable?
Honorable Speaker, whereas we all have our own political leanings, I think my brother, Honorable Tongoyo, Kongoyo, is overstretching this. We have always observed moments of silence in cases of death. That is number one. Number two, before us is no evidence that the Deputy President has been taken ill. There is absolutely no evidence. What we have heard is that the Senate is trying to trace their new client, the Deputy President, so that he can finish his side of witnessing of a case that emanated from this House, Honorable Speaker. So my brother is misplaced, and his thoughts are equally displaced, and this House has no latitude to entertain such kind of theatrics within the House. And I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Gogoyo, said by the Honorable Member, I think has just cleared it. It's, we normally, you would pay tribute usually, and then the Speaker will allow the members to rise for a minute for a moment of silence. In this case, that is not the case. So I think I want to grant your request. Okay, I think you may proceed, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Before I reply, I want to donate 1 minute to Honorable Dorothy Modoni.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank Honorable Watch for bringing this very, very important bill to this House. Honorable Speaker, it's important to underscore the importance of the Community Health Workers Bill, which is before this House. Honorable Speaker, the Community Health Workers Bill is primarily aimed at supporting Article 43 of the 2010 Constitution. Health is very key.
What's your point
to
of
any-
order? Just hold on, Honorable Ikiara.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this House always keeps records, and I'm proud of the Honorable Member. But it's unfortunate that she's referring to a wrong person, that Honorable Watch being the sponsor of the bill. I'm not aware of Honorable Watch being the sponsor of the bill. Maybe if he's
I
referring
think,
to
yes, I
Honorable
think you
Martin
can correct
Owino.
It's Honorable Peter Owino.
Yes.
Martin Owino, member for Ndiwa.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I said on watch, but from the part of the country where I come from, Owino, Onwatch, Ondaga are all names for that community, and so I seek forgiveness, Honorable Owino, Martin Owino. Honorable Speaker, I wish to add my voice to this very, very important motion, and I want to state, Honorable Speaker, if we fast track this bill, it will go a long way in helping our hospitals in managing various diseases. Honorable Speaker, the community health workers are the first and should be the first contact persons to identify various elements before patients go to seek treatment in hospitals. Honorable Speaker, these community health workers will be able to go to the villages and assist people in knowing who has what disease, Honorable Speaker. And it is very, very important to note that, Honorable Speaker, these health workers have been giving themselves at minimal cost. They are paid $2,500 at the moment, and if we can improve this kitty, Honorable Speaker, the government will stand advantaged, because we always say prevention is always better than cure. So, Honorable Martin, I want to thank you for this very important bill and say let's fast track.
You may proceed, Honorable Owino.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to thank Honorable Member for that support. Honorable Speaker, yesterday we had a very robust debate on this, and across the board, everybody found that community health workers is an integral part of health delivery system of this country. Honorable Speaker, reactionary medicine is not helping. That is, waiting for patients to get so ill and treat them is not improving the health of our people. That's why this bill, which wants to identify, train, register, and equip community health workers and regulate them, will help a long way in preventing diseases, but also in management of those diseases. Honorable Speaker, if this cadre is recognized and empowered the way the bill is saying, then we will have early detection of diseases. We will also have prompt referral system and client support system and efficient data system. We are not going back to use 3 years old data in order to do our business. Madam Speaker, there is what we call 3Ds. That really worsen the health of the people in this country. That is D number 1, delaying at home. D number 2, delay on the way, and D number 3, delay at the facility. These 3Ds, if we empower community health workers, they will be eliminated. And that will give good outcome of our health across the country. Madam Speaker,
if the community health workers are empowered, trained, equipped, and regulated, there will be a reduction of disease burden in the community. They will also reduce death, as we have seen it, and disabilities. As Dr. Pukose will testify, you know, if you identify a diabetes condition early and advise the client to adjust the lifestyle, actually use a very little money other than we would have used in buying a dialysis machine, sessions. So it will cut the cost of care because of those early detections. Even consider the issues of cancers. Right now, people show with cancer conditions in stage 3 and 4. But if they are identified earlier, they will for sure live a life. Madam Speaker, in closing, the issue of funding, and I want to thank Honorable Kuria Kimani for that idea we had. The issue of funding community health workers can be easily dealt with if we invest well in level 1 and in community health workers themselves. That will lessen the frequency of higher tertiary care. Now, the money saved from those reduced frequency can be plowed back into the community health workers. So those who are saying that it is expensive to have community health workers salaried, they are misinformed. In fact, if we invest in community health workers, we are going to cut the cost of healthcare in this country. Madam Speaker, we also put money in primary healthcare. The primary healthcare fund, the integral part of primary healthcare is community health workers. And therefore, those funds should be earmarked for paying them. There's no health outcomes that will come with volunteers, because these people also have their needs. Children going to school, they have their food has to be put on the table. They have needs like anybody else. But more importantly, uniquely, these cards are placed in our community, and they relate to the people in the village. That's why they are 24/7. Somebody who is doing 24/7, you cannot say you are giving 2,000 or 5,000. These people have to be salaried good in order to achieve what we want to achieve in health. Honorable Speaker, much was discussed. I want to thank my chair for health, Dr. Pukose, who stayed in throughout, Dr. Honorable Kimani and Honorable Nyikal, who seconded this motion with passion and agreed that when he retires, he's also going to be a community health worker in Seme. I'll follow to do the same. All of us will end up in a community so that we can discharge this service. With those few remarks, I, Martin Peters, Owino Ward Chief Nyamrero number 1, I want to beg to reply. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Martin Peter Owino. Honorable members, we will not put the question at this moment. This will be done in another sitting, as will be scheduled by the House Business Committee. Next order.
Order number 10, motion, consideration of the mediated version of the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022.
Honorable Emmanuel Wangwe, you may proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 15th October 2024. Honorable Speaker, in considering the clauses of the Sugar Bill 2022 under mediation, the committee had to address the following issues.
Honorable Emmanuel Wangwe, please move the motion as per the order paper up to the end.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that, pursuant to the provisions of Article 113, subsection 2 of the Constitution, and Standing Order 150, subsection 3, this House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 16th October 2024, and approves the mediation version of the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022. Honorable Speaker, in considering the clauses of the Sugar Bill 2022 under mediation, the committee had to address the following issues. 1, whether to go the zoning way as proposed by the Senate or the regional catchment area way as proposed by the National Assembly. 2, whether to increase the membership of the Kenya Sugar Board to 14 by adding a member from the least represented gender and a representative of persons living with disability and youth. 3, the nominating body for the representative of universities in the board of directors of the Sugar Research Institute. 4, the institution that will be in charge of the percentage of sugar development levy allocated for infrastructure development and maintenance. 5, whether imported industrial sugar should be exempted from payment of sugar development levy. 6, whether growers should be represented in the board of directors of private milling companies. And 7, whether to adopt the sugarcane zones proposed by the Senate or sugarcane catchment areas proposed by the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, the committee deliberated and resolved the above issues as follows. On 1, whether to go the zoning way as proposed by the Senate or the regional catchment areas way as proposed by the National Assembly, the committee resolved to adopt the National Assembly's position of putting in place regional catchment areas which will be important in cane management. On the issue number 2, whether to increase the membership of the Sugar Board, Kenya Sugar Board to 14 by adding a member from the least represented gender and a representative of persons living with disability or youth, the committee resolved to retain the membership of the board at 12 and provided that the appointing authority shall ensure that there is adherence to the 2/3 gender rule and representation of the youth and persons living with disabilities in the board insofar as the practical. On item number 3, Honorable Speaker, the nominating body for the representative of universities in the board of directors of the Sugar Research Institute. Honorable Speaker, the committee observed that universities in Kenya do not have an apex body to nominate the representative. The responsibility to nominate a representative of universities to the board was therefore placed to the cabinet secretary, who will ensure that the nominee has knowledge and experience in agricultural research in the sugarcane field. Honorable Speaker, item number 4, the institution that will be in charge of the percentage of allocated for infrastructure development and maintenance, managed by the Kenya Sugar Board and shared by the sugarcane producing regions on pro rata basis. This is because clause 43 of the bill provides that audited accounts of the board shall be submitted to the National Assembly and Senate, hence Parliament will have the oversight use of the fund. On item number 5, Madam Honorable Speaker, on whether imported industrial sugar should be exempted from payment of sugar development levy. This proposal was rejected, Madam Speaker, by the committee on the basis that there was no justification to exempt imported industrial sugar from paying the sugar development levy, while all other imported sugars is subject to the levy. Honorable Speaker, on whether growers should be represented in the board of directors of private milling companies, this proposal was too rejected by the committee, since it is illegal to compel private companies to have farmer representatives in their boards. Private companies are private with intentions of making profit, hence should be managed privately. There is also a possible conflict of interest having a farmer sitting in the board of company, as they can easily compromise in favor of the companies at the expense of farmers. The practice of having farmer representatives in boards of private companies was best left as a practice and custom at the discretion of millers and not compelling legal provisions as that would contravene Companies Act 2015. Honorable Speaker, on item number 4, on whether to adopt the sugar zones proposed by the Senate or sugar catchment areas proposed by the National Assembly, the committee, Honorable Speaker, adopted the new schedule proposed by the Senate and renamed it as sugarcane catchment areas instead of sugarcane zones. The regions will be used for purpose of elections and cane management in line with the recommendations of the Sugar Task Force report. Further, Honorable Speaker, sugarcane catchment areas will bring sanity in the sugar industry as it will bring to an end the cane poaching, which has resulted in losses for millers. This will encourage investments in the sector, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the Mediation Committee on the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022, considered the 7 clauses of the bill under mediation and came up with an agreed version of the bill. Honorable Speaker, when you look at the bill, the order paper today, the entire detailed agreed version of the bill is attached on the order paper. Putting into consideration, Honorable Speaker, the principles as guided by my highlights. The Sugar Act will play, Honorable Speaker, as a summary, will play a crucial role in bringing sanity, Honorable Speaker, to the sugar industry and make those who would want to invest into the sector to have a benefit of their investment. Honorable Speaker, I wish to salute and acknowledge and appreciate the Office of the Speakers and clerks of both houses of Parliament for the logistical and technical support accorded to it in the execution of its mandate. That's our committee, Honorable Speaker. And finally, I wish to express my appreciation of the committee and the committee secretariat for their patience, sacrifice, endurance, and commitment to the assignment that enabled committee to complete the task within the stipulated time period. Honorable Speaker, mediation committee has a latitude, 30 days only. And if you extend beyond 30 days, it has consequences. And Honorable Speaker, I wish on the onset to really acknowledge my colleagues, led by the chairperson of the Committee on Agriculture, Dr. Mutunga. I want to appreciate you and thank you for your time and input. I wish to appreciate the Honorable Justice Kemei, the Honorable Nabin Abuera, the Honorable John Makali, the Honorable Peter Masara, and the Honorable Walter Wino, who accompanied me, and we were enjoined into that committee. Honorable Speaker, I also wish to thank our colleagues in the Senate that they equally took time, led by the chairperson of Agriculture, the Honorable Murango, and the entire team, that they took a lot of their time, input, ended up even amending and sitting down to propose on how to amend, on how to write the clauses, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, with those few remarks, I beg to move and request the Honorable Dr. John Mutunga, the MP, to second. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Mutunga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I stand to second the adoption of the mandated version of the sugar bill, which has taken quite a bit of time to be discussed across the country. Honorable Speaker, this bill is a derivative of a very intensive process of consultation. Consultation occurred at 3 levels. Honorable Speaker, the first level was the generation of the report of the task force. There was a sugar task force report, which did its work and presented a report to the immediate former President of the Republic. And this report was adopted, and a task force accosted, rather, enabled to implement this report. Honorable Speaker, the second level of consultation is when we went round to every factory, most of the growing areas, and consulted with the farmers and the other stakeholders, the leaders, the politicians, and the millers, and everyone else, to hear their views on what kind of a legislation they would like to have in order to have the industry better managed. And this happened and brought in a lot of information that has been useful. Honorable Speaker, the land level of consultation was the conference, the sugar conference that was held in Kakamega. And at this conference, Honorable Speaker, the report on task force was thoroughly examined, and quite a bit of that report informed the bill as it is now. Honourable Speaker, the mediated version of the bill has been immensely informed by that background, as well as the individuals who come from the sugar growing areas, honourable members who come from the sugar growing areas, as well as the version of the sugar, the bill itself. There are key aspects of this bill that are worth mentioning, Honourable Speaker, even as I second. The first one is the fact that this bill ensures that the sugar industry is going to be revitalized, ensures that the farmers have got some resources for cane development, ensures that the sugar research and the training institute is being to be revitalized and expanded from the Kenya Agriculture and Livestock Research Organization. And given some resources from the Sugar Development Levy, this money will enable the institute to move on and do the research on sugar. Honourable Speaker, the other key attribute of this particular legislation is the fact that the money for from the Sugar Development Levy has been very carefully shared out, such that the money for support to the board has been given out as 15%. We have some money for the research itself, for the cane development itself, and some money for development of the roads in the areas where sugarcane is grown. Honourable Speaker, this was a contentious issue that took the Senate and the National Assembly to mediate. And the mediated version of this particular aspect is such that we agreed that this money is domiciled at the Kenya Sugar Board and utilized in the counties where sugarcane is being produced in a prorated manner based on the levels of contribution from the various localities or the various regions where sugar is produced, so that we may be able to attend to the key needs of infrastructural improvement. And we call it infrastructural specifically, Honourable Speaker, because we would like the roads to be done and the bridges to be done as well, because sometimes if you just leave it as road, some of the other infrastructures may not benefit. Honourable Speaker, the final thing I would like to say as I support is that this bill comes out to basically harness the entire industry. It's looking at the industry from the pre-production all the way to the table. It's looking at how we can curb importation of sugar, how we can produce enough sugar for this country and even sell in the region. It has taken all aspects into consideration, and therefore we believe we have mediated a very good legislation for this country. Honourable Speaker, I do second.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Honourable members, I now propose the question that pursuant to provisions of Article 1132 of the Constitution and Standing Order 153, this House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 16th October 2024, and approves the mediated version of the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022. I'll give a few members. I'll start with the Honorable Onyango Oyo, member for Muhoroni.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to share this very interesting development with my colleagues. As all of you are aware, my constituency is the heart and soul of sugarcane milling, growing and milling. And this development can either add a lot of value to my constituents or hurt them. I want to pay tribute to the committee in Parliament, because most of the issues we are canvassing here, we successfully canvassed them here and passed them, save for a few contentious issues that remained. I will talk about zoning, which is the elephant in the house. It is in the interest of farmers, the farmers I lead, that there is no zoning, because they grow sugarcane with their own efforts. And it's only imperative that when it comes to time of harvesting, they should be given freedom to sell to the best miller, who has the capacity to help them in harvesting, in transporting the cane to the mill, and paying them in good time. We have had serious problems with certain millers who want to restrict. They want to restrict the farmers in my constituency. And they're capitalizing on the fact that the government millers are semi-dysfunctional. And they want to capitalize on the plight of the farmers because of dysfunctioning of the factories, and they offer themselves as the only people who have solution, and they want to restrict the farmers to supplying sugarcane to them. When they have no capacity, there's very little they do to help the farmers develop. They cannot do the roads. There is anything they're doing that adds value to the farmers. So this thing called zoning is something that my farmers really detest. I have seen the board and the committee, the mediation committee, has tried to deal with it, but there are lots of circumlocutions. My friend told me that a rose by a name is called a rose. I have seen a lot of circumlocution. We want this thing to be addressed very well so that farmers have something called sokohuru. A farmer can sell his ready, unless, like it has been addressed here, there is evidence that the farmer took loan from a miller to develop his farm, got some fertilizers. The miller had something he had deposited when the need was taking place. But when a miller, like when a farmer, like the farmers in my constituency, has developed the plant or garden by himself, he should be given permission to sell to whoever he wants. And any circumlocution that wants to curtail the freedom of a farmer is not very good for us, and I've seen semblance of it in this report.
What is out of order, Honorable Chairman? You know when you show your hand up, or I can't see your card, but I can see your hand is up. Chair, what is out of order?
It's not out of information.
You want to give, you have a point of information?
Information. Does he want to be informed?
No. I would like to find out from him whether he wants to be informed.
Okay.
Do you want to be informed by the chair? You would like you? Okay. Proceed, Chairman.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I would like to refer the Honourable Member to the mandated version of the bill. Honourable Speaker, that was one of the contentious issues. We could not possibly lock farmers to specific factories. We refused. That is not there. What you have done is a minimum of 3 factories in a catchment area. That is what the bill says. So if all the 3 fail, then there's a serious problem in the entire industry. Honourable Speaker, the other thing we introduced is that these catchment areas are also considered as electoral colleges. So elections will be done within the catchment area in terms of representation in the board. Again, Honourable Speaker, we also agreed that the representation within an electoral area is going to be rotational by county. So that if it is Kisumu produces a representative this season, the next season is somebody comes from Kericho, the other season somebody comes from another county, as long as they're in the same area, so that we can also introduce equity. So that issue has been completely, thoroughly discussed and dealt out with.
Honourable Koyo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The second issue I wanted to speak to is about the reconstitution of Sugar Board. During the days of the Sugar Board, Red Sugar Board was very active. The farmers were doing very good business, and they were really harnessing their plants and sugarcane business. But when the Sugar Board was killed, and an anonymous body called AFA came that has very little interest in what the sugarcane farmers are doing, we have really felt the brunt. So I will support this, and I think the body, the amendment committee, has done very well. They have introduced the Sugar Board as per our aspiration, and they have spelled out the zones for this purpose, which initially I was not happy about, but I've seen the rotational basis. I think this will bring in add some value. Then I would like to talk about the 50% levy. You know, during the Sugar Board, there were monies that were deducted for the purpose of improving infrastructural development in various sugar catchment areas. A lot of monies were collected, but immediately with the disbandment of Sugar Board, these monies were rerouted to the county governments in form of cess. I don't know what happens in other, because I don't come from Nandi, they were my neighbors. But in Kisumu, all the monies that have been invested, that accrue from this deduction, have not benefited the farmer. We don't even know how much it is, what it's doing, who is keeping it, and for what purpose. So we hope that this identification, now that we have identity, we know the money is going to go to sugar board, that it will be made use of for the benefit of the farmer. But our fear is that when sugar board had the money before, they assisted companies to buy road making equipment. A serious company in my constituency.
There's a point of order from the Honorable Emmanuel Wangwe.
Yes.
It's not a point of order, it's just to inform my very good friend. We walked the journey together, if he can allow me to inform him.
Do you want to be informed? You are being over-informed.
Thank you. I think it's just a matter of correction. He has mentioned that the percentage allowed, now that we are on public media, they might take it as a true fact. It's not 50%, it's 15% of SDL.
So you only have 2 minutes remaining, but honorable members, remember, you are debating the mediated version.
Yes.
So if you are not conversant with the mediated version, you may find yourself taking us back to the initial bill. You have 2 minutes to conclude, Honorable Koyo.
I've closed in on just 3 issues on the mediation version. So thank you, Madam Speaker. I've zeroed in on just 3 issues. I said the 15%, it was not 50%. I said the 15%, initially when it was held by Sugar Board, it was gave consideration to the industries to help develop road network for sugarcane, for purpose of delivering sugarcane, developing and delivering sugarcane harvest. But many of these equipment that were bought never benefited the workers. We hope this time they will be serious, and we will ensure that this serves the interest of the farmers. Otherwise, I want to support the mediation bill as constituted by the committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Koyo. The Honorable Julius Meli, member for Tinderet.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to support this bill, and I want to laud the sponsor of the bill, Honorable Wangwe, and the chair of the committee, Honorable member for Tigania West. Honorable Speaker, this is a bill that we've really waited for long as a representative of farmers in the sugar growing areas, and more importantly as farmers, and at the same time as the sugar industry in general. Honorable Speaker, this bill has tried to actually bring sanity in the sector, and I want to say that as the standing orders allow, I shall be proposing a few amendments to it, Honorable Wangwe, especially on the issue of, it is mediated version, it's mediated version.
Chair.
Yes, I'm guided, Madam Speaker, I'm guided on that.
You cannot do it at this time.
I'm guided on that.
But I hope you're not going to engage the chair, education. Yes. You already said that
he's out of order.
What is out of order?
Is it in order for Honorable Meli, a senior member of this House and a ranking member, to indicate that he is proposing amendment on a mediated version of the bill? I think he's completely out of order. And he had started by saying he's supporting
David
the bill.
Kiplangat, member for Soy. I was listening very keenly to the chair, education, and I know that he has a lot of experience, and he has no intention of bringing amendments. He already made comments on that subject, and now we move on.
Yes. It is Honorable David who actually doesn't understand the issues at play. He's excited on the issue. Honorable Speaker, there are a number of issues which I want to put to the attention of members. One is the issue of the infrastructure fund. It is in the considered opinion of farmers and all the stakeholders that the 15%, and I know this levy is actually meant to support sugar growing. When you look at 15%, it has actually been put to the use for infrastructure alone. And I would request that maybe the mover will actually inform me and inform the country how much does it go to cane development, how much does it, what percentage goes to the cane development, what percentage goes to other areas within the sugar growing, so that you actually give us the whole percentum from 100, how it is being distributed through. Honorable Speaker, we also have this issue of the miller, contracting a miller outside the region to come and carry the crop outside that particular miller's area or catchment area. It is quite contentious, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, because another miller cannot contract another miller. In respect, where we grow cane, there are certain millers or mills that have actually gone under. A good example is Miwani. Miwani can't contract maybe an existing company to take up its crop or a farmer's crop within that particular region. It could be proper if a miller has gone under, the farmers be contracted afresh. And for those farmers who are not contracted afresh, let them be allowed to move to those areas that they can be able to sell their crop. Madam Speaker, the issue of catchment area. I come from a county that grows sugar, and I've been convinced to some extent by the mover that it is only in my county where it is split into two, the northern part of the county and the southern part of the county, where I come from. I don't know if this will really disenfranchise the farmers in that particular region, because out of all the catchment areas, it is only this county of all the sugar growing regions that has been split into two. I don't know what is the wisdom that informed that this one county be split into two, Madam Speaker. 3, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Nabi Nabwera.
I would like to draw.
What is out of order?
It's a point of information.
I would like to, I'll have to find out from the chairman. Would you like to be informed?
Be informed because he was a member of the mediation committee.
Okay, you may proceed.
It is not true that it's only Nandi that split into, even Kakamega. The Mumias part of Kakamega is in a different catchment area, while the other part of Kakamega is in a different catchment area.
Chair, Honorable Meli. Honorable members, I would like to discourage so many points of information. Yeah, Chair. Because you already have been informed by the Honorable Nabi Nabwera.
Yes, I've adequately been informed.
Do you still want to be informed by the member for Soy?
On what issue?
You can choose not to be informed.
What is the information?
What is out of order, member for Soy? The mic to him.
Yeah.
To David Kiplangat.
I'm trying to follow my senior in this house. He started by saying he's supporting the mediated bill. But listening to his debate, he is actually deviating and to the negative. So he needs to state clearly what position he is doing. If he is supporting the motion, the bill, let him now argue in supporting the bill.
Honorable Kiplagat, I'm inclined to give protection to the Honorable Meli. Well, if he's not satisfied, he can still raise other amendments in 6 months.
Yes.
So we will let him debate. This is a house of debate, and there is a lot of freedom here. So please just finalize. You have about 2 minutes now.
Yes, Madam Speaker, I want you to guide the young legislator that this is a house of debate. And this is a house where we ventilate on issues affecting our representatives. It is not a house where we just deposit legislative proposals and then we pass it anonymously without critique. It is in order, Madam Speaker, to inform the member that any issue on this bill shall be brought to this House for amendment after 6 months, and it is proper. And I want to guide the honorable member for Soy on that. Madam Speaker, on the issue of catchment, I just want to discuss this more specifically on zoning. I want to thank the committee that the word zoning is not there. But there are some contentious issues on catchment where the farmer is restricted. The farmer is restricted, or the grower is restricted to particular mills. And I want to agree with Honorable Koyo. In this particular case, the miller should be free, the farmer should be free completely, without any trappings or conditions, that he should be allowed to take his crop to anywhere. And I want to give examples of other crops like tea, coffee, and the rest. Madam Speaker, a rose by any other name is still a rose. And I would be proposing, because this is a mediated fashion, that this issue of catchment be very clear, especially on the farmer's responsibility or the grower's responsibility, and more importantly, what the miller is supposed to do. In my area, most of my farmers are not contracted farmers, like Muhoroni. Majority of the contracted farmers are in other zones. And they are free to do what they want to do with their crop. So in this case, Madam Speaker, I am of the opinion that, yes, the document is a fair copy, than the previous one debated by the Senate. But on that particular issue, we shall be proposing, after the stipulated time, some of the amendments. I thank you, and I support.
Thank you, Honorable Meli. The Honorable Kuria Kemani, member for Molo. Thank you. Then we go to the Honorable Jared Okello, member for Nyando.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this is an issue or a bill that has taken inordinately too long. The bill stems from a task force that was established in the former regime, and our former colleague, Honorable Munyinyi, in the last regime. Yes. Honorable Wamunyinyi brought it forth. It died with that regime and was graciously resurrected by my brother, Honorable Wangwe. As a committee where I sit, the Committee of Agriculture, chaired by my very good friend, Dr. Mutunga, we have delved into this matter over and over. The matter went to the Senate. It came back. We did what we ought to have, and now again, the mediated version is right here with us. Honorable Speaker, I come from a sugar growing area, just like my brother Honorable Koyo and Honorable Meli. We have really suffered. Many people have had to uproot sugarcane from their farms, just because of all the pitfalls that exist within this particular industry. We do acknowledge the problems that the government-owned sugar mills have gone through. Some of the employees plugged into these companies have had to wait for over 3 years to be paid salaries, Madam Speaker. And therefore, and farmers have had, to wait for too long to have their monies channeled to them. And the government has also intervened quite a lot, both the former and current regimes, by expending some monies to cushion farmers and additionally also help with the employees. But these have been patch-up measures, Madam Speaker, and therefore we believe that the bill, as mediated, will address many pitfalls that have existed within the sugar industry for way too long. Madam Speaker, it has been so decided by the mediation team that we come up with catchment areas so that companies do not just come up without being put at a particular catchment. And it has all been decided that not more than 3 companies can exist within a catchment, Madam Speaker. This is also trying to control the usage of sugarcane. Otherwise, we may overdo or create a lot of strife amongst companies, Madam Speaker. So it is 3 per catchment, and that is, to me, a very good approach. Now, the issue of representation at the board becomes very critical. And during elections of representatives, Madam Speaker, within the board, it is more serious than electoral units within us, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, it has so been decided by the mediation team, which is something that I like very much, that whereas directors will be elected at the catchment areas, but again it becomes rotational, so that when you have a director from Kisumu, because if you subject Kisumu farmers and Nandi farmers, Nandi will lose because of our numbers, Madam Speaker. But then the subsequent election will then go to a different region and not Kisumu having more than its fair share, Madam Speaker. So I think that was a very good approach. Again, Madam Speaker, the monies that will be collected in terms of levies by the board, the sugar board, Madam Speaker, both from the local farmers and sugarcane that comes from outside Kenya, Madam Speaker, will be shared amongst certain bodies within this board, Madam Speaker. So we have created a training institute whose work will be to carry out research, because we are still stuck on sugarcane that takes 2 years to mature. Yet, the digital age has dictated that we have some that only take 9 months. So let us go for the 9 months, and that will be the work which will be carried out by the Sugar Research Institute, Madam Speaker. Roads within the sugar sector or these schemes are in dilapidated state, Madam Speaker. We had expected that when you have our county governments getting cess monies from farmers, supplying sugarcane to farmers, that the roads will be paved. But, Madam Speaker, it is the direct opposite. You move into these sugar companies and you cannot believe the condition of roads in these places, Madam Speaker. And therefore, in the wisdom of the committee and the mediated version, this money will be going straight under the oversight of members of parliament coming from the sugarcane regions, Madam Speaker. And therefore, I think just like we have played oversight role to Kera, which is doing a splendid work in our areas, this money, which will also be used to help improve roads within the sugarcane regions, will also address the issue of dilapidated infrastructure within these places, Madam Speaker. We have also put a lot of emphasis on sugar that has to be brought back to be imported into the country. Madam Speaker, sugarcane is the lowest hanging fruit for any crooked government to make money. And they do it at a disadvantage of our own sugar mills, Madam Speaker. We have seen cases where sugarcane or other sugar companies' warehouses are full. They have no market. Yet the government brings in tax-free sugar so that they can mop up their finances, either for political expediency during campaigns or for reasons that are beyond our knowledge. And this bill has put a lot of emphasis on the amount that has to be brought into the country only at a time when our country does not have enough for its local use, Madam Speaker. And I think this is a step up from where we have been before. Madam Speaker, our farmers
together with employees in these sugar companies, have suffered for way too long. And therefore, we believe and hope that with all these changes that we intend to have, that they will, at least for once, enjoy, Madam Speaker. We have also proposed the inspectors who will be going around getting to know whether the sugarcane that we have is local or is imported, and if imported, what Gazette notice informed the importation. So we are trying the much that we can, Madam Speaker, under the strenuous circumstances, to come up with purity in this business of sugar, Madam Speaker. And therefore, I want to support the mediated version, but this does not really close doors for improvements into the future, because some of the issues we have proposed are still going to be like a pilot. If the catchment idea will not be reflective of the wishes of the people, then in 6 months we will come back here and make amendments where necessary. I thank you for the opportunity, Madam Speaker, and I support the mediated version.
Thank you, Member for Nyando. The Honorable Nabwera Nabi, Member for Lugari.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On the onset, I want to support the mediated version of the bill. And Madam Speaker, I would like to declare that I had the honors task of serving as the task force secretary, joint secretary, that went around this country. And the bill borrows largely from the negotiated version by the stakeholders in the sugar industry. I would like to thank the members, our colleagues whom we were with in the mediation committee. And Madam Speaker, I want to speak to the issue about catchment area. In clause 19, Madam Speaker, whereas we have provided for contracted farmers, and underline the word contracted farmers, to be restricted within the catchment area of their contracted millers, in clause 20, the clause allows non-contracted farmers to supply cane to any miller in the country. So clause 20 cures clause 19. Madam Speaker, you are aware that 5 of our mills, Zoe Sugar Company, Chemeli Sugar Company, Sony Sugar Company, Moroni, and Miwani, are supposed to be managed under a new arrangement, the leasing arrangement. Madam Speaker, no investor in the sugar sector would want to invest his money if he's not guaranteed of the raw material. And this has been the biggest problem in the sugar industry. To cure that, that's why it was necessary to create a catchment area. Madam Speaker, the provision for Sugar Development Fund has multiple importance for those of us in the sugar sector. The very fact that we are imposing a levy on imported sugar, something that has never happened before, and that's why imported sugar has been a menace in this country, makes it not cheap anymore, and therefore provides room for the local industry to grow. Madam Speaker, before the advent of AFA, we were in the process of developing a faster maturing variety of cane. In India, they are now on 9 months. In Mauritius, they are on 11 months. In Brazil, it is between 11 and 13. But because we did away with the sugar regime at that time, we are still in this country on 19 months to 24. By providing money to Kenya Sugar Research Institute, we are assured that we are now going to move from 19 months to early maturing cane of 11 months. And we have even gone further in that bill, Madam Speaker, that we have provided for propagation of the new varieties. We have provided for regions of research. Madam Speaker, I want to associate myself with the sentiments of Honorable Kello on the issue of infrastructure development. This was a very contentious issue, and I want to thank our colleagues from the Senate who had held the position that this is a devolved function. But we then agreed that the money for infrastructure development reposit at the Kenya Sugar Board and will be only used in the areas where sugarcane is grown. That means, even in my own constituency, the wards that do not have sugarcane will not benefit from that road infrastructure. Why are we doing this? One of the most destructive things in the sugar agriculture sector is the tractors that howl cane. There is a particular tractor called a winch. It's a very heavy machine. If it pulls a tractor through your farm, the place, even if the road was done how, it will destroy the road. So that would mean that we are going to recreate our infrastructure in the area. More importantly, Madam Speaker, that we are providing cheap access of funds to the farmer. Today in the sugar industry, unlike the tea and coffee sector, Madam Speaker, we don't have anywhere a farmer can go to unless a commercial bank, and which is very exorbitant in terms of interest and unaffordable. But with providing money for sugarcane development, money where the millers can also tap in when they want to improve on their machinery, we find it an improvement. Madam Speaker, the most difficult aspect of sugarcane farming is the organization of the farmer. And many times I've had discussions, including with the members of this House. The question has been, how do we ensure that our farmers are organized well? In this mediated version, you will realize, Madam Speaker, that the farmers are empowered. We have even provided for a farmers' organization. This means that the voice of the farmer will be heard. Madam Speaker, this bill is so progressive to the level that during discussions, we allowed where a private miller wants representation of farmers to their board, it will be done. Madam Speaker, why is it necessary that this House fast tracks this mediated version of the bill is that we have hemorrhage of a cane farmer in Lugari. The cane farmer in Migori is crying. The cane farmer in Kisumu is worried about the price. The price is so unstable that every month you have a new price. This bill provides for price mechanism. The pricing mechanism, which is the stakeholders' pricing mechanism. Madam Speaker, I would want to urge the House, respectively, honorably, that we all unanimously fast track and pass this bill. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
To the Honorable David Kiplangat, member for Soy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Reading the mood of the House. Okay, may I proceed? May I proceed then? Okay, may I proceed then? I'm not even, I'm on the floor. Protect me, Madam Speaker.
So take your seat.
No, protect me. I want to contribute.
Kiplangat.
I want to make my comments.
Okay. I order that you take your seat, David Kiplangat, and we give this opportunity to the Honorable member for Molo. You will have another chance.
That was close. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I raise support this mediated sugar bill that is aiming to revitalize the sugar industry by establishing this very robust regulatory framework that is going to promote fairness, efficiency, and sustainability. Honorable Speaker, this comes at a time when the sugar industry is facing significant challenges, including mismanagement, low production.
Order, Chairman. Honorable Brighton Yegon, you know you have a very loud laughter. It's not bad, but it's so loud that it is distracting other members. So I allow you to laugh, but please do it in a lower volume. You may proceed, Chairman.
Honorable Brighton, you can still laugh in whispers. Honorable Speaker, let me say that again I rise to support this mediated sugar bill report. Sugar bill report, Honorable Speaker, that is aiming to revitalize the sugar industry by establishing a very robust regulatory framework that is going to promote fairness, efficiency, and sustainability. Honorable Speaker, this comes at a time when the sugar sector has been faced by pricing problems, significant challenges in mismanagement of the sugar factories, low production, and poor livelihood for the farmers, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as this House may recall, last year, the Committee of Finance and National Planning, jointly with that of Agriculture, tabled a report and approved in this House a report on the commercialization of sugar factories. Honorable Speaker, having visited the farmers in Western and Nyanza region that time, it gives us a very good understanding of the importance of this sector and the solution to the challenges that are facing farmers, sugarcane farmers, Honorable Speaker. This bill is seeking to establish the Kenya Sugar Board. And Honorable Speaker, this Kenya Sugar Board will now be responsible for overseeing the regulation of the sugar industry, ensuring there is compliance with the set standards, and ensuring that there is proper sugar promotion. The Sugar Board, Honorable Speaker, will play a very critical role in ensuring that sugar manufacturers and marketers are protected, Honorable Speaker. The bill also outlines clear legislation about, and regulation on sugar protection and market practices that will enhance transparency, Honorable Speaker. This bill will address the need for quality control in the sugar production and ensure that both the production and both the producers and the consumers of sugar, Honorable Speaker, are protected. Honorable Speaker, the bill emphasizes the importance of practicing of protecting the rights of sugarcane growers, Honorable Speaker, including fair pricing, protection of contractual agreements with the millers, and ensuring that if in the event of a dispute, that those disputes, whether it is among farmers, millers, or marketers, Honorable Speaker, are amicably addressed, Honorable Speaker, to the benefit of both the millers and the farmers, Honorable Speaker. Most importantly, Honorable Speaker, this bill will help safeguard or protect the importation and exportation of sugar, which is aiming to protect local farmers from unfair competition, Honorable Speaker. For a very long time, the reason why that some of our local manufacturing and even local farming has not been yielding fruits is because of facing unfair competition from importation, Honorable Speaker. So this bill sets clear guidelines on the importation and exportation of sugar, Honorable Speaker, and therefore ensuring that we protect our local industry and we protect our local farmers from unfair competition. Honorable Speaker, this bill also provides mechanisms, including financial mechanism and technical mechanism, to support the sugarcane growers, Honorable Speaker, so that they can have improved production, and this improved production, Honorable Speaker, will enhance better livelihoods for the farmers, Honorable Speaker. Most importantly also, there is a clear focus on training programs for farmers, so that these farmers can adopt to better farming practices that is going to ensure that these farmers, Honorable Speaker, get better and higher yields. In consideration of our environment, Honorable Speaker, the bill also addresses environmental concerns by giving the board the mandate to set the requisite environmental programs for both the farmers and the millers, Honorable Speaker. This will help reduce the extortion of the environment that has previously been made, especially by the millers, Honorable Speaker. The Sugar Board also, Honorable Speaker, will have, as an authority, will have a leeway to give penalties where there is non-compliance with the set rigor and regulatory framework, Honorable Speaker. So where there is multi-practice around the sugar sector, Honorable Speaker, now this bill provides for a mechanism to penalize that by giving the board the authority to issue penalties in case of any multi-practice, Honorable Speaker. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, therefore, this mediated bill represents a significant step towards the restructuring of the sugar sector in Kenya. By fostering a supportive environment for farmers, by ensuring there is fair competition, by promoting sustainable practices, this bill, Honorable Speaker, has a great potential to completely change, completely revitalize the sugar sector and ensure that there is production in this country and the farmers, Honorable Speaker, are protected. Honorable Speaker, perhaps we may ask, why is this sugar sector important in this country? Honorable Speaker, the sugar sector contributes to 0.8% of the Kenya's GDP and employs at least 500,000 people, Kenyans, directly. So, Honorable Speaker, so if you were to correlate also the number of Kenyans that are employed indirectly in the sugar sector, you realize that this sector, especially with the passing of this bill, that's going to change the way the sugar sector is operated, would actually even increase this contribution to GDP from 0.8% to a much higher percentage, Honorable Speaker. This is a sector, Honorable Speaker, that also contributes greatly to tax revenue, Honorable Speaker, but also most importantly, this is a sector that will help ease pressure on our exchange rate, Honorable Speaker. If you check the number of tons of sugar that we import every year in this country, Honorable Speaker, when we are able to reduce the importation of those great quantities of sugar by consuming our locally grown and produced and processed sugar, Honorable Speaker, we're going to have a huge saving on the pressure that we've had on the exchange rate. In addition, Honorable Speaker, to improving our balance of trade and our balance of payment, because that would mean that we are actually will be able, with these changes, to even export sugar to other countries, Honorable Speaker. In addition to what the direct benefits that you've seen of this sector, Honorable Speaker, there are other supporting sectors that are supported by the production and the farming of sugar, Honorable Speaker. For example, the fertilizer and agrochemical sector. You know, when this sector improves, when farmers use fertilizer and these agrochemicals, this means that another industry is growing is going to grow the industry of fertilizer and agrochemicals, Honorable Speaker. The industry of machinery and equipment, when you have more farmers growing sugarcane, getting good pricing for their sugarcane, and that sugarcane being processed here locally, Honorable Speaker, it means that with the need to have proper farming machinery, and especially with even the proposed funding model that is proposed to the farmers in the bill, Honorable Speaker, it will mean that we're going to also lead to growth of machinery and equipment sector, Honorable Speaker. Transport and logistics, the transportation of sugarcane whether it is from the nuclear plant or from farmers to the industry, to the factory, Honorable Speaker, and to the market. This has also a ripple effect of growing the transport and logistics sector, Honorable Speaker. It also has a way of attracting direct investment, Honorable Speaker, because that means that when investors are certain that there is quality, good quality sugarcane available, then we are going to attract direct investment into our country, into the processing of this, and not just the sugarcane itself, but even the other byproducts that come from the sugarcane, Honorable Speaker, like molasses, just to name an example, Honorable Speaker. This is also, Honorable Speaker, a great opportunity for public-private partnerships. Because, Honorable Speaker, we have this, we're calling them the nucleus land that is owned by this community, Honorable Speaker. It is possible to have a PPP come, they set up these factories, they process this sugarcane for the farmers, and pay them a good return on investment, Honorable Speaker. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, is how this will change our rural areas. Because the sugarcane farmers are those people deep in the villages of this country, Honorable Speaker. And by making sure that there is money flowing to the rural people of this country, this is going to lead to a more rural development. It's going to reduce the migration of rural, urban migration, and ensure that what we call bottom-up economic transformation model, money going where it's supposed to be, to the pockets of farmers in the deepest part of our villages, Honorable Speaker. And with those remarks, Honorable Speaker, I want to congratulate my senior colleague, the Honorable Wangwe, for coming up with this bill, and the committee, the task force, that has done such a great job in coming up with this mediated bill, Honorable Speaker. With that, I beg to support.
Thank you very much, Member for Molo. The Honorable Caroli Omondi, Member for Suba South.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I also want to lend my voice in support of this mediated version of the bill, but also make some observations. Let me begin by congratulating Honorable Wangwe, Honorable Nabi Nabwera, Honorable Meli, and the rest of the team for all the good work and the effort and the tenacity and the collaboration that has yielded this new sugar bill up to this stage. Madam Speaker, I just want to speak to three things. I firmly believe that our farmers should have complete freedom to grow cane and sell to millers of their choice. If we want to regulate the sector, we can do so and follow what I would call the best practice. I think if a farmer chooses to contract a particular miller for offtake of the sugarcane, that is perfectly legal. But we should support such farmers by having a register at the Kenya Sugar Board where all the millers register the contracted farmers. So everybody would know which farmer is contracted by which miller. And then we should also allow the Sugar Board to prepare what we would call framework contracts for the farmers, between the farmers and the millers, so that the farmers, because many of them may not afford lawyers, but there's a standard framework agreement that a farmer would sign with a miller. That would be good, but when a farmer chooses not to contract a miller, he should be free not just to sell his or her cane to the three millers, because to restrict the competition to three millers is not different from one miller, which is a monopoly, two millers, which is a duopoly, or three, which is an oligopoly. Farmers should be free to contract or not to contract and to supply their cane to whoever offers them the best price and at the right time when their sugarcane is ripe. As a matter of fact, it is this restriction on the sales through concepts such as catchment areas that has created all this mess. And actually, it has not worked. If you think about it, all the successful privately owned sugar mills in Kenya were started by companies that had no nuclear zones and did not have contracts with farmers. And they were able to become more successful than the state-owned sugar mills. So we don't need zoning, we don't need all these things for sugar mills. We just need to give the farmer the freedom to grow cane and at the right time to sell the cane to the miller who offers the best price and who comes on time to harvest. And those who are contracted, let us have a register with the sugar board. Let us support the farmers by giving them a pro forma contract so that they could all sign it with transparency. I mean, this is what happens in other sectors. Secondly, I want to talk about the intended leasing when we use as a measure of privatization of the state-owned sugar mills. I think this is long overdue. The sooner we get the government out of our sugar sector in terms of management of the mills, the better it will be for everybody, the tax collector, the farmers, and the rest of the country. Madam Speaker, when we privatize these mills, you can surely expect better management skills coming from more skilled investors, more skilled managers, and shield the factories from political interference. I think this has been our biggest problem. Our mills have suffered from political capture. A failed politician is taken to be somebody in the mill. A failed civil servant is transferred there from the ministry to go and run a mill. I've been a director of these sugar mills from 1992, so I know what I'm talking about. I've even seen cases where employees have given evidence against the government when we have had a dispute with external companies. So I think the sooner we lease these sugar mills, the better, so that we get better management skills, but also attract new technology. The milling equipment in most of these sugar factories are outdated, 30 years, 50, 40 years behind. So we need new investors to bring new technology and also to make new investments. Sugar mills are just not producers of sugar. They can co-generate power using the bagasse. They can produce alcohol and become very profitable. And also better research. All the countries that you see that have fast maturing cane, it is not the work of the government. It is the work of the private millers who have invested in research. So even if we put a lot of money to Kenya sugar research, it will not yield as good results as if that money and that process of research was being handled by the private sector. So we need to quicken the process of privatization. And finally, the sooner we have new investors, the better it will be for our farmers. At least there'll be more support from the private investors by way of loans, extension services, fertilizers, which they don't get today. And the last thing is, I hope, going forward, we will be very careful on the qualifications of those who are elected as directors. It should not just be purely a matter of zoning and representation, but a matter of somebody with qualifications and passions for the sector. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I will leave it there because of the interest so that we save on time.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Dr. Pukose, member for Endebess.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for allowing me to contribute to this mediated version of the sugar bill. Honorable Speaker, on the onset, I want to thank the Honorable Emmanuel Wangwe, member for Nafokolo, together with his team for having been able to spend time and be able to agree together with the Senate committee so that we are able to move forward with this bill, which has taken a lot of time, it's taken a lot of keen interest, especially when it came to issues about zoning, where initially many of the farmers were feeling that they were going to be disadvantaged when they are put in certain zones, where yet when you are planting your sugarcane, you are using your own resources, you are able to, you expect to get profit out of it. And if you are limited to a certain zone where the conditions are not favorable, whether collection of the sugar, whether pricing of the sugarcane, that can disadvantage many of the farmers. We've even seen, especially when it comes to sugarcane growers in Endebess, they've had challenges because when you take some of the sugar mills, your sugarcane, you find that the weight at the weighbridge and the weight at the factory, they are not the same. They are losses. And therefore, you find that farmers complain and expect and they end up being discouraged from continuing to grow sugarcane. And therefore, somebody would want to have a factory that is honest, a factory that will give you your price for what you've actually planted and for the efforts that you put in. So this issue of being put into a zone now has turned out to be that you can be able to be allocated within maybe 3 factories, and it is for purposes of elections of officials so that the leadership can be alternated from one county to another, and I think that is progress. Madam Speaker, on the issue about the sugar fund, I think we expect that this will also go into developing those areas, especially in debilitated road network that affects mainly sugar growing areas, where you find that you put a lot of effort, even the money that is given through CARA or the money that is given through counties is not adequate to be able to make the roads passable, and especially during rain seasons, where farmers get a lot of challenges in transporting their sugarcane, and they you end up with your sugarcane maybe not reaching the destination to which it's supposed to reach. The sugarcane, the driver and the sugarcane sleep on the road. I don't know whether that is correct English, but it doesn't reach. They get stuck on the road before reaching where their destination. And this leads to losses to the farmers, and I think this thing is something that should be addressed. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I want to congratulate the team and support the mediated fashion.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pokose. The Honorable Wilberforce Ondo, member for Funyula.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me take this opportunity to sincerely thank Honorable Wangwe for following up through with this bill to this stage, which seems to be like the end of the long journey. Honorable Speaker, the collapse of the sugarcane industry and the sugar industry in totality brought a lot of miseries since 1980s and 1990s. Attempts to revive them have just been piecemeal and probably politically initiated for purposes of achieving political gains. But for the very first time, we have followed through this process. We are here where we are here today. Accolade must also go to Honorable Amunyenye. He's the one who initiated this bill in the 12th Parliament, processed it, but as usual, it died, so to speak, in the Senate before it was completed. We stand here today to say thank you for the effort that you made, and we are here today. We must also thank the Sugarcane Task Force that has been on this for a long time, and I know my colleague Honorable Nabwera has been on it all along. But remember, Honorable Speaker, the idea of amending the sugar sector, correcting the sugar sector, began in around 2010, around 2011, 2008, 2009, and I was happy involved by consultants that was led by Standard Investment Bank, that we got here, that we said we must move with speed. Honorable Speaker, remember also sometimes last year, the government also initiated the process of leasing the various sugarcane companies, publicly owned sugarcane companies. And I would believe and hope this process will continue, because the business of government is not being in business. The government ought to be a regulator, an enabler, and not also compete in business, because the structure imposed on them by Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act and that regulation, Parastatals Act, makes it completely impossible for them to move with the speed and compete with the members of the private sector. Honorable Speaker, as in Busia County, our sugarcane factories and our sugarcane farmers are not complaining much because we are run by private sugar companies. So hence, whatever is grown, the uptake is adequate, to the extent even the Busia Sugar Company has leased almost several thousands of acres in Sivinga sublocation and Luda and Mango sublocation of Funyula constituency, where they're growing sugarcane on contract basis. So for us, any process that concludes or brings sanity to the sugar sector is a godsend gift for the people of Unila constituency. Honorable Speaker, I must also admit that for the very first time, the Senate, I don't know how Wangwe managed to manage the senators in the mediation process. They're essentially belligerent, and they take a hard position, devoid of information, and stick to it. You ask them, you are not an expert in that area. Let the expert guide you. You must be a very patient person to have shepherded this process to where it is. Probably I don't have that amount of patience that, from a classroom at the University of Nairobi, you only deal with the top-notch students, so you move things fast. Any slow learners becomes difficult to deal with them. But, Honorable Speaker, I'm happy that finally you resisted the issue of sugarcane zoning. In a liberalized economy, let the producer, the purchaser, literally have some kind of an arm's length arrangement that allows them to deal. Providing 3 factories in any sugarcane catchment area gives latitudes to a farmer to choose where to go. But probably in fullness of time, we might have to look at this, Honorable Speaker. What if the production is too much that the 3 sugarcane factories, mills, cannot manage to process this sugar on time? Because any factory has got some maximum capacity. For it to increase its capacity, it will take a lot of time to assemble and expand the capacity. But for now, we'll allow it to go as it is to enable us to move forward. Honorable Speaker, on the issue of the nominee to the institute by the universities, Honorable Speaker, again, I know it's not easy to talk to some senators understand, but the original version that was dealing with Council of University Education should surely have resolved the matter. But nevertheless, we need to take it as it is.
I have a point of order, Honorable Professor. I have a point of order from the Honorable David Kiplangat, member for Soy.
On what standing order?
Madam Speaker, understanding order 95. Madam Speaker, will I be in order, reading the mood of the House, that the mover be called to reply after Dr. Unda is done?
Okay. Well,
Honorable Speaker.
You have done a lot of justice on it.
Yeah, let me conclude.
I'll give you 2 minutes to conclude.
Yeah, it's
then
good.
Then we'll find out whether that is the mood of the House.
It's good that Honorable Kiplagat has got a moodimeter that measures the mood of the House. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, you see on the issue of the sugarcane catchment areas and the process of appointing or electing members to the Sugar Board. Honorable Speaker, I see here that Lower Western comprises of Mumias, Busia, and Siaya. I do hope in the geographical delineation of Mumias, they will be explicitly clear. Is it Mumias East constituency? Is it Mumias West constituency? Or which Mumias area? They will need to be explicitly clear so that we avoid the situation other people purporting to be in Mumias will come and join the Mumias area. And Honorable Speaker, truth be told, the Mumias people have cut all the sugar cane. They don't have any sugar cane because they have issues with Mumias Sugar Company, have uprooted all the sugar cane. They have gone to other crops that probably they think they're profitable. To allow them to continue probably having directors for those people who don't have sugarcane farms is a matter that we'll have to revisit during the election of members of the Sugar Board. And we'll be there to make sure you must only put your mouth where your sugarcane is. You cannot come as an entrepreneur, an aggregator, and purport, Honorable Speaker, to sincerely take the position of a director in the Sugar Board. will insist, as the people of Busia, since we've got the largest quantities of sugarcane, sugarcane farm, we must insist be given the first slot for the directors. Finally, as I conclude, Honorable Speaker, I just want to urge the Institute. Can they continuously develop a variety that has got high sucrose content, a variety that matures much, much faster? Because 18, 19 months, Honorable Speaker, is inordinately too long. It makes an economically not economical for a farmer. And that's why you find farmers keep on shifting, or switching to other crops. We need to find a process that makes it much faster. And of course, Honorable Speaker, there's been agitation about the pricing mechanism. I do believe this bill has cured that problem and will no longer have that problem at heart. Finally, Honorable Speaker, I support and ask my colleagues who are here, even those who do not come from sugarcane growing areas, but you consume sugar, please let us vote for this. Even those during our age who used to call girlfriends sugar, please, it's your time to also vote and support the people who grow sugarcane. Of course, there are other terminologies I don't want to go to, but it's important we have to support this mediated version of the bill so that we proceed to the next level and we save the farmers of this country and we avoid these shenanigans and cartels in the sugar importation sector. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Professor. Honorable members, I will purposively give a chance to the Honorable Eve Obara.
Then Dr. Nyekal.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And I don't want to waste too much time because I am also a beneficiary of this new mediated version. Madam Speaker, I want to appreciate the committee that came up with this, bringing order to a completely disorganized industry where cartels reigned. Madam Speaker, as I said before, that I have gone to school from the sugarcane proceeds. Madam Speaker, I have seen what they have proposed and recommended in the mediated version, and I'm totally in agreement with what they are proposing. Madam Speaker, the most important one is for allowing farmers to be able to take their coins to any miller, unless, of course, they are contracted. Number two, Madam Speaker, I am happy with the kind of variety of sugarcane that they are proposing to 12 months that is different from the 18 months that we previously had. Madam Speaker, representation, that's the best thing that has happened, that this thing is rotational and we are going to kill the issue of all the cartels. Madam Speaker, the levy on the imported sugar, Madam Speaker, this has been a problem, a big problem to the sugar industry. Madam Speaker, I know we want to finish so that we are able to conclude this matter that has taken years to go through. And thank you again. Thank you to the committee for coming up with this mediated version. And I believe that going forward, we are going back to what the sugar industry used to be at the time when I was growing up, and not the cartels that we currently had. Thank you very much, Wangwe, and the team. I support. Thank you. Sorry to be rushed.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I would like to find out, based on the matter that has been raised by the member for Soy, I want to find out whether it is the mood of the House that I call upon the mover to reply. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Mover. Honorable Wangwe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, before I even reply, although the standing order doesn't allow me to donate, but allow me to respectively thank the Honorable Professor Nyekal. As a man, we work as a member of this House, whom we began the journey together over the sugar bill in the last parliament, and many of the 17 meetings we attended in Kisumu and the rest of the country, we were together. Allow me equally to thank the Honorable Meli. We were with you all the way, the journey through, and today it's coming to our fruition that the sugar bill is coming into reality. Honorable Speaker, Among my colleagues who raised issues is the issue to do with the mediation bill. To what extent can we open the mediation bill? I feel it's important to respond to and say we restricted ourselves to what the law says, the difference between the Senate report and the National Assembly report. Therefore, many of the issues that maybe my colleagues expected to see today are as we voted in the earlier version of the bill from the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, there were also issues of concern from my colleagues to do with the restrictions and how opening are we to do with the farmers. I want to reiterate that clause 19 is a restrictive clause. It closes into how a farmer is supposed to relate with a miller. And Honorable Speaker, we gave an opportunity to those who don't want to be restricted to a miller, particular miller, using clause 20, that they are free. They are at liberty to now trade produce their own cane on their own volition and sell it to where they feel they can sell it. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, we just want to say this has brought sanity. The larger population shall be restrictive to how they are supposed to rule, to work, and the other population, Honorable Speaker, those who don't want to be contracted have also been given liberty. Allow me, Honorable Speaker, to thank my colleagues as I did in the moving. Out of 14 members of my team, my mediation team, Honorable Speaker, 12 members have signed the adoption list, confirming that indeed what Professor Undo was saying in terms of how do you bring together all this team to work together. We want to say it was thankful, and we appreciate and thank God that the team I was given in both the Senate and the National Assembly was cohesive, and we were able to work as a team. Therefore, this version is a really mediated version where the Senate and National Assembly have agreed, and I find it very conducive that equally my colleagues have moved in the same way. Finally, Honorable Speaker, second last Honorable Speaker, allow me to thank Honorable Kuria Kimani as the Chair of Finance when he really came in with the support of the under 17 billion in Western Kenya sugar factories. That support, Honorable Kuria, is if we don't pass this bill today, Honorable Speaker, then that support will go to our West. But what you did and your team of finance has really given us the impetus to be where we are. Finally, Honorable Speaker, allow me to thank Honorable Munyinyi, who presented this bill into this House in the last Parliament and gave me with great honor that I move it again into this House, into this Parliament. And today, my colleagues, you've really seen it good, and I want to plead with you that come the time of voting, let us all overwhelmingly vote in support of this bill. This is the future of our industry. And to my people of Navajo, I want to thank you, the people of Western, the farmers of this country, that indeed you are great people and we are here to serve you. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I beg to reply.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I will not be putting the question. This will be done in another sitting as it will be scheduled by the House Business Committee. Next order.
Order number 11, motion, alleged unfair trade practices by foreign investors in Kenya.
The chairperson, Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. Chair is absent. The vice chair? Vice chair absent. I'll not call upon any member of the committee. I do not think we will go there. Next order.
Order number 12, motion. First report on the implementation status of House resolutions on committee reports and public petitions. Resumption of debate.
Thank you. Honorable members, this is a resumption of debate. Members who had spoken on this motion are Honorable Raphael Wanjala, Honorable Joshua Mwalio, and then the Honorable David Ocheng was on the floor. So any member wishing to continue to speak on this, feel free. Yes, Honorable Kimani, member for Molo.
Honorable Speaker, I raise according to starting on 35, considering that we don't seem to have the requisite quorum, that the quorum bell be rung.
Thank you, Honorable Kimani. I order that the bell be rung for 10 minutes. Honorable members for discipline in the House, Honorable Wangwe, Honorable Brighton, Honorable David Kiplangat, I request that you take your seats as the quorum bell is being rung. Thank you, honorable members. Honorable members, and the time being 12 minutes past 6 p.m., this House stands adjourned until Friday, 18th of October 2024 at 9:30 a.m.